Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, guests, members of the macadamia industry community. It is a massively exciting day. It's the day that we launch the Macadamia Services Management Trading Platform, MSM. My name is Leon Doyer, for the people I don't know. I'm a stakeholder in MSM. I'm a son of the Lowveld, and like many of you, I have a deep affection and concern for the agricultural community. That's why we're here today. But first, before we get to the deep stuff, kan ek net sien, by wyse van hand opsteek, wie van julle hier praat Afrikaans? My magtig. So ek moet vir julle regtig om verskoning vra, want hulle dwing my om die ding in Brits aan te bied vandag. Ek's regtig jammer, ek wil julle net troos en vir julle sê, ek het by 'n betroubare bron gehoor, ons gaan Afrikaans praat in die hemel, julle kan ontspan. For the English speakers, learn to speak Afrikaans, it will be the heavenly language. Over the years, there's been a lot of discrimination against Afrikaans and Boere. We know that. Language is one example. But it reminds me of the story of hierdie ou oomie farms in northern Transvaal, 'n boere oomie back in the day. And he decides to go to Johannesburg to do a bit of shopping, checks himself into a hotel, and he sees an appliance store. And he's excited about that. And he gets there with his boere outfit, and he walks in and he sees what he thinks is a great TV, and he says to the very English salesman, "Sir, I want this TV." And the guy says to him, "We're sorry, we don't sell to boere." So he turns around, goes back to his hotel, cleans up, takes a shower, cleans his hair, brushes his teeth, and he goes back again. And he says, "Sir," to the same salesman, "I really want this TV." And the guy says to him, "Sorry, we don't sell to boere." So he realizes he's got to make a plan. So he goes back a couple of weeks later with a disguise, moustache, glasses, everything. Goes back to the same salesman, he says, "Sir, I really want to buy this TV." And the guy says to him, "Sir, we don't sell to boere." And he says to him, "How do you know I'm a boer?" He says, "Sir, because this TV is a microwave." So enough with the discrimination against our people. People, I grew up in the Lowveld, just up the hill in a little town called White River, Witrivier. Een van die min dorpe in die land wat Afrikaans en Engelse naam het, vir die mense wat dit nie geweet het nie. In those days, there was a different green gold covering the Lowveld. For the ouer mense, can you remember the rolling tobacco fields that covered the Lowveld? So, can you remember the old big tobacco ovens where they dried the leaves? Those old beasts. Today, if you start them up, Eskom will collapse in a day. My father was the NG dominee in Witrivier. So we prayed for two things. We prayed for rain and we prayed for the hail to stay away. Almost our entire community rode the waves of fortune with the tobacco farming community. And then it collapsed. Vandag, hoeveel tabakboere is daar oor in die Laagveld? Amper niks nie. And it caused tremendous hardship. But it was fortunately replaced with a new green gold. This is what we're talking about today. Macadamias became farmed in the Lowveld. Everyone benefited. We remember those days. The sellers of bakkies, in particular Toyota Land Cruisers, fencing businesses, irrigation businesses, the fertilizer industry, everybody fed off the macadamia industry. In 2019, for you that farmed macadamias already at that point, you may remember, farmers got a staggering 258 kilogram for kernels sold. That's quite incredible. Times were good, farms were selling like sweet cakes. I remember farms coming on the market and selling in the same day. Flying into Nelspruit, if you came to KMIA and you looked down, you could see the orchards expanding every time. Pine and eucalyptus forests were being taken out and replaced by macadamias. It was the new gold rush. The entire Lowveld was smiling. And then quite abruptly, things changed. Prices dropped dramatically. I asked Kobus yesterday to give me a bit of information. Recently, kernels sold for between 90 and 100 rand a kilo. That's more than 50% or 100% drop in what it was before, 50% lower. Now, klink ek so Zuma. You could feel the despondency creeping into the Lowveld community. Farms are sold on auction. I see it the whole time. You also will have seen that. Every single industry that I referred to has been affected. I'm an attorney in Nelspruit, so I see this. I see people who were making money at one point, coming into my office, struggling to breathe because their businesses are simply not surviving. So what do we need? Obviously, you all want a silver bullet. I wish I could say I can snap my fingers and it's perfect. What we need, people, is hope. At the moment, SuperSport is advertising, I don't know if you've seen that, Chasing the Sun 2. So Chasing the Sun it chronicles the Springboks' sweetest World Cup victory in France. And in the prelude, they talk to hierdie eister wat van die laafveld afkom, Dwayne Vermeulen. And he says with a tremor in his voice, hope is a strange thing. So we trust and pray that what we tell you today, what we show you today, will give you hope, will give hope to the industry, and will give hope to the Lowveld. So on that note, I'm going to introduce Pastor Gary Phillips. Gary, waar's jy? I think he's one of the two English people here. So Gary is a leader in the Lowveld Christian community. He's a friend of MSM. So please join me in welcoming Gary to dedicate this day to the Lord.
Good morning, everyone. Grateful for this opportunity to share some thoughts with you from the scriptures and to pray at the outset of this meeting. As we know, difficult times can breed frustration, can breed sadness, can breed hopelessness and exhaustion. Difficult times can be very challenging and overwhelming. And so it stirred me, therefore, to see in the scriptures that in the hands of God, difficult times can also breed innovation, solutions, new ways of thinking, and new steps for us when we feel stuck. I've come to notice a very special story in the book of Exodus. Towards the end of Israel's long period of slavery, it says the Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and that God heard their groaning and remembered his covenant and looked upon the Israelites with concern. So there's an interesting choice of words used in the Hebrew to describe this account. The groaning and the crying out are not whimpers of the defeated. They're not sighs of the downtrodden. It's more of a cry of complaint. It's not the cry, it's not the cry that one would expect those times, that long period of hardship to produce. And there's evidence in other ancient literature of this kind of a cry being used in a legal sense. It's a complaint to an authority. It's a complaint that something is not right and there's a call for it to be put right. It's very interesting. Things are not as they are supposed to be. And it's the nature of this cry by the Israelites that causes God to remember his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and for him to look upon these people with concern. It's like someone one day stood up and said, hey, what is going on? Why are we living like this? Is this what God promised Abraham? But this is not what we heard of what happened back in the day. This is not the story we were offered. And so what happens in that Exodus account is that a new reality, a new vision is birthed in a complaint. Not a complaint against God, lots of that going around. Not a complaint about how awful life is, lots of that going around. But an awakening of expectation that things could and should be different. And so this constant pressure of all those years of hardship stirred in Israel a renewed ownership of the life that they expected but were far from living. Despite the difficult times, there is faith here in this cry. There is determination in this cry. There is vision in this cry, and it appears that this attracts God. Difficult times, yes, but difficult times that produce the beginning of the most powerful period of change and that reawakening of a God dream, and that's the Exodus story. And so there's many instances like this in the scriptures, and I think it's I think looking at that, it's in the nature of God to produce gold in our hearts in times of pressure. This is our possibilities in the hands of God. And so this morning I want to pray for us. Our country is facing many difficulties. As Leon has expressed, farmers in the macadamia industry are facing many difficulties. But I want to pray that this takes place in the hands of God. For something to be unexpectedly stirred. That it wouldn't be sighs and the groanings of those facing difficult times, but there might be something different, a different kind of cry, complaint that says, but what was meant here for us? Courage and answers, dreams and determination. Not because of the difficult times, but because of God, for whom difficult times are not overwhelming. Won't you join me in prayer? Lord, we see something here of your nature that is stirring. We just lift our eyes off our circumstances, off the challenges, and we think again, what are our lives in your hands? What are our lives in your possibilities? And I pray this morning, Lord, for every heart here that is feeling overwhelmed, that has a sigh in them, that is feeling they're not sure what can happen. We place them in your hands. We say, stir up, Lord. May there, through today and through, as we look ahead, be a different kind of cry that says, hey, but what are the God possibilities that we're missing here? What is the future? Different kind of cry, a complaint that says, but there's something more. A reawakening of a God dream, of a vision. We want to say this morning, Lord, you are not overwhelmed by difficult times. May these difficult times not overwhelm us, but may we be in your hands, and may you produce in us something of a reawakening that will contribute towards a new day. We cry out for hope where people have lost hope, and we look to you. And we thank you, Lord, that we'll see innovation, we'll see solutions, we'll see change, because you're a good God. We pray this all in the wonderful name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
In a world where innovation meets tradition, where ambition intersects with agriculture, comes a groundbreaking revolution in the macadamia industry. Get ready for a paradigm shift as we introduce the MSM trading platform. It's a catalyst for industry players to trade on an international scale where we embrace efficiency, transparency, and collaboration, and ensure swift, secure, and transparent trading experiences. It's time for macadamia trading to evolve, to become a global force that unites growers, investors, and traders like never before. Picture a world where every macadamia stakeholder has the power to thrive. Together, we can shape our success stories and overcome challenges. The MSM Trading Platform. 7 continents, 1 platform, unlimited growth.
People, our next speaker, my one son called him Black Joe, but he's not Black Joe, he's Joe Black. I asked him how I should introduce him. He said, jy moet min vir my sê, ek sal vir myself praat. Een van die interessante goed, you remember the single Skepe, when it hit on YouTube, it got 1,022,000 hits within 5 weeks. He's a voice of inspiration in South Africa. People love to listen to him. He had a beautiful beard. He cut it off. Jou, kom vorentoe asseblief. Nou, julle weet hoe werk het in die Laagveld, die tannies hekel gewoonlik vir ons onderbroeke. Maar Jou, ons het vir jou 'n baard laat hekel, want jy is net nie dieselfde nie. Ek wou jou Joe White noem, maar dit ry met Snow White. Dit sal net nie werk nie. So sal jy hom net aansit vir die skare asseblief, Joe. Hy lyk soos 'n onderbroek, maar hy is 'n baard. Pragtig, applausie vir Joe. Daar's hy. En dan daar's hy Joe. En dan natuurlik, die reël is, hy moet hom heeldag in die laafveld dra. Vandag word dit skamele 35. Dankie Joe, sien uit om na jou te luister.
Goeiemôre julle. Gaan ons hierdie oefening nou doen soos die skool. Môre julle. Môre. Ek het toe hulle my gevra het om te kom praat vanoggend, toe vra hulle my ek moet 'n stemboodskap maak wat op radio kan gespeel word. Toe sê ek, "Hi, dis Joe Black en ek bring die hoop weer Nelspruit toe." En toe dink ek soos, hoe bring mens hoop? Okay, want hoop, ek het 'n liedjie geskryf oor hoop en in die liedjie vra ek, wat is hoop? En dit was regtig nie 'n liedjie wat ek vir die mense geskryf het. Ek het daai liedjie vir myself geskryf om te probeer dink, is hoop 'n emosie, is hoop 'n gevoel, is hoop 'n ding wat net kom en gaan. En wat ek wil hê jy moet verstaan van hoop vandag. Eerstens, hoop is altyd positief. So die Woordeboek sê hoop is 'n positiewe verwagting van die toekoms. So om hoopvol te wees. Hoop kan nooit negatief wees nie. Al sê ek vir jou, ek hoop jy kry 'n kramp in jou gat, is dit 'n positiewe verwagting dat iets negatiefs met jou gaan gebeur. Verstaan? So 'n interessante feit oor hoop. Die Hebreëse woord vir hoop is dieselfde woord wat hulle gebruik het vir tou. Dis iets om aan vas te hou. So met daai agter die rug, gaan ek vandag vir julle hopelik 'n bietjie hoop gee, wat in hoop sal ophoop. Hoop. Hy was lame. So, voor ek begin, ek doen hierdie elke dag van my lewe. Okay, ek praat by skole, dameskonferensies, manneaande, wat ook al, waar hulle my nooi. Die laaste ek nooi hulle my nogal na baie boeredag. Ek was laasweek by die graanboere van die Noordwes en vandag die makadamia boere van die Laagveld. So, ek begin nou my boerdery ken. Ek wil net leer om vooruit te boer, want ek boer nou nog agteruit, maar ek het nodig dat jy my reëls gehoorsaam vir vandag om 'n suksesvolle oggend te wees, sodat hierdie 'n boodskap sal wees wat jou sal bybly. Ek is streng op my reëls, want ek is nie hier om jou tyd te mors nie. Ek's vanoggend 4:00 uit Pretoria uit en ek seker jy's ook nie om jou tyd te mors nie. So luister mooi na my reëls, gehoorsaam hulle. Reël nommer 1. My naam is Joe Black. En as jy nie weet wie ek is nie, is dit oukei. As jy nie my naam onthou as ek ry hierson nie, is oukei. Reël nommer 2. Moet asseblief nie aan die slaap raak nie. Dis embarrassing en dan gaan hierdie organiseerders my nooit weer nooi nie, okay? En reël 3 is sekerlik die belangrikste en die deelbreker. So nou en dan, lag asseblief vir al my Zef grappe. Dit laat my beter voel oor myself en dit wys julle luister so nou en dan. Gaan julle my reëls kan gehoorsaam? Nee, dit is moeiliker as wat jy dink. My jokes is regtig nie so snaaks nie. So anyway, ek het nou gedink vandag wil ek vir julle 2 stories vertel. Eerste storie is sodat jy my 'n bietjie beter leer ken. Die tweede storie is omdat hulle my gevra het om te praat vir 40 minute, maar my speech is net 11 minute. Toe dink ek aan 'n klomp rubbish om jou tyd mee te mors. Verstaan, dis eers naaste my waar nie, maar dis 'n blerry goeie storie. Okay? So my naam is Joe. Ek is 'n musikant van Pretoria af. Ek is die seun van 'n mediese dokter, pa en ma. En daar's 'n rede hoekom ek hierdie sê, want as ek vir jou vertel waar ek vandaan kom, dan maak al die nonsens wat ek praat vir jou sin, want dit gee vir jou fondasie van hoekom dink ek soos wat ek dink, hoekom praat ek soos wat ek praat. So oordat my pa en my ma albei in die mediese professie was, beteken dit ek het baie bevoorreg groot geword. Ek het nie helfte van die issues gehad waarmee ons sit vandag, jy weet hierdie kindertrauma wat hulle van praat en dit. Ek weet ons het altyd die mooiste huise en die mooiste karre gehad. Dit het so blerry goed gegaan. Ek was die hoofseun van my laerskool. Ek weet nie hoekom doen ek dit, ek het dit in 'n movie gesien, toe lyk dit cool. Ek was selfs die hoofseun van Hoërskool Pretoria Noord. Ek sien julle klap in my hande nie, asof dit 'n prestasie is nie, maar anyway. En as jy hierdie brokkie inligting net wou weet, as albei jou ouers in 'n mediese professie is, en jou punte is goed genoeg, dan mag jy gratis met 'n beurs aan die Universiteit van Pretoria, by Tikkies, mag jy ook medies gaan swat. So direk na skool, het ek obviously daai roete gevolg. Ek het medies gaan swat. Ek het vir 4 jaar medies geswat tot ek besef het ek hou nie van bloed nie. En toe gaan ek na my pa toe en ek sê vir hom, pa, dude, jy weet ek's 'n rockstar. Ek kan nie hierdie goeders doen nie. En met 'n bietjie oortuiging laat hy my opskop. koop vir my 'n toerbus en 'n paar gitare en 'n sound system en ek dink dis van daai dag af wat ek my passie uitleef. En tussenin as ek verveeld raak met musiek, het ek bietjie konstruksie probeer of ek het bietjie huise gebou of wat ook al ek gedoen het. Maar musiek was nog altyd my passie en dit is asof daai dag het my pa my laat gaan en ek het die voorreg om elke dag my passie uit te leef. En die cool ding is, hulle betaal my nog daarvoor ook. So, nou dat jy 'n bietjie agtergrond het oor my, kan ek vir jou hierdie storie vertel en ek dink ek gaan vir jou sin maak, hoekom vertel ek so baie, of praat ek so baie nonsens. So vanoggend se tema het ek gedink, ek wil graag praat oor waardigheid. En waarde, toe ek nou daai slim mense sien mos daai grafieke en goeders, ek verstaan dit nou nog nie, maar daai lyk vir my soos 'n waardebepaling. Hoe kosbaar is iets, hoe waardevol is iets. En hierdie idee het na my toe gekom, ek ry een aand terug van 'n vertoning af, val 1:00 die aand langs my vrou in die bed, ek is getroud, en terwyl ek al lê en my oë toemaak, want ek's moeg, toe ontmoet ek die skerpste deel van my vrou se liggaam, die skelmboog. Toe sy my so in die ribbes kap en sy sê, gaan jy nie 'n Bybel lees nie? Eerste instink, ek wil haar uittrap en sê, ene dame, jy nie sien ek's moeg nie? Maar ek sê vir haar, ja, ek rus net my oë, want ek moet apparently lank lees. Want sê, hier is 'n worsteling wat ek van kleins af het. Niemand het vir my geleer, hoe lank moet ek Bybel lees, totdat die Here tevrede is. Selfs met 'n gebed. Ek weet nie of ek die enigste ou is wat bid, en dan sê ek amen, en as ek klaar is, dan dink ek, ja, daai was kort, kom ons sê nog 'n paar lyne, kom ons vra vir nog 'n paar goed, en dan gaan ek aan, en eventually kan ek nie onthou dat ek 'n derde keer amen gesê het nie. Is ek die enigste een wat sulke goed doen? Wanneer, ek check ook net die eerlikheid onder julle mense hierso. So ek doen toe 'n triek wat baie van julle al gedoen het. Ek sit my 2 duimnaels bymekaar, en ek maak die Bybel op enige bladsy oop, en sê ek, Here, gee my net asseblief 'n boodskap, dan lees ek die kortste paragraaf. Wie het dit al gedoen? Hier's 4 eerlike mense in hierdie vertrek. Ek maak die Bybel oop op hierdie volgende gedeelte, en ons toets sommer vandag julle algemene kennis. Ek maak oop op die deel wat sê, in die hemel is die strate van goud. Die hemel is die strate van goud. Die hekke is van, moenie sê palisades of electric fencing nie, asseblief. Die hekke is parels. Wie het parels gesê? Niemand, ek het. Anyway, sien julle dit op dieselfde bladsy as ek oopgemaak het. So, in die hemel is die strate van goud. Die hekke selfs is van parels gemaak. En hierdie vat my gedagtes toe na 'n vers wat ek ook per ongeluk raak gelees het, wat sê, God het man gemaak uit stof. En ek weet nie of jy weet nie, maar stof is 'n produk van grond. En ek hou nie van grond nie. Sê, ek het as 'n laaitie meer pak slaag gekry oor die hoeveelheid grond wat ek in die meisie se hare gegooi het. Jy kan dit eers eet nie. Ek meen, as daar grond op my klere was, dan het ek nog steeds daarvoor ook pak gekry. Daar waar ek vandaan kom, as ek jou wil beledig, dan sê ek vir jou, jy is so dom soos grond. As ek jou regtig wil beledig, dan sê ek vir jou, jy is Lara Slang Bolly. Weet jy wat is Lara Slang Bolly? Grond. So hierdie ding bots met my. Ek lê daar in my bed en ek sê, Here, waar moet ek my waardigheid in hierdie vind? Sien, as ons die kroon van die skepping is, dink jy nie die Here kon iets meer kosbaar gebruik het om ons te maak nie? Kan julle imagine Joe Black Diamond, Joe Platinum, en as ek nou die pryse so kyk, Joe Macadamia, nee, ek grap. Ek sê, ek wil dit my lewensmissie maak, om uit te vind, wat is die kosbaarste element op aarde? Dat die dag as ek die voorreg het om in te stap in die hemel, gaan my eerste vraag wees, Here, hoekom grond? Maar ek is ook 'n voorstander dat as jy 'n probleem het, moenie 'n moungat wees nie. Bring 'n oplossing, mense gee jou meer respekteer daarvoor. So ek gaan sê, hoekom grond? En dan gaan ek vir die Here net hierdie pitch gooi en sê, as ons ooit kies om die wêreld uit te wis en oor te begin, hoekom gebruik ons nie, tada, en dan sê ek vir die Here, wat is die kosbaarste ding op aarde? So ek wil julle deur hierdie denkproses van my vat, want om die kosbaarste element, die waardevolste element op aarde te wees, moet dit iets wees dat as ek dit wegvat, sal lewe soos ek dit ken vergaan. Die aarde, die diere, die voëls, die visse, alles wat ons ken en lief het, sal in 'n oogwink weg wees. So ek wil jou toets en kyk of jy saam met my stem. Wie sê, of wie stem saam, dat voedsel en voedselsekuriteit is seker die waardevolste ding. Onthou, as daar hongersnood uitbreek, dan gaan ons op strepe vrek, en as ons gaan die diere, gaan die voëls, gaan die aarde gaan vergaan. Wie sê kos en voedsel is die belangrikste ding op aarde? Wel dan, daar is eintlik 'n trick question. Ek wou net gesien het, wie het nog nie ontbyt gehad nie. Hier is cupcakes, sien ek hierso buite. Jy kan vir 40 dae sonder kos gaan, en ek weet dit voel ook nie so nie. Hier teen 2 uur vanmiddag wil ek een van julle byt, but due to COVID regulations, it's frowned upon. So, dis die voedsel nie. Wie sê, water is die bron van lewe? Niks kan bestaan sonder water nie, steek op jou hand. Beet, sak jou hande. Jy kan vir 3 dae sonder water gaan, tensy jy van Appington af is. Daai plek so blerrie warm, jy hou net 'n dag en 'n half asem. So is die water nie. Okay. Suurstof. Niks kan bestaan sonder, well done. Sak jou hande. Jy kan vir 8 minute, moet dit nie try nie. Jy gaan dit een keer reg kry, jy gaan bitter spyt wees. Maar jy kan vir 8 minute sonder suurstof gaan, so dit is nie dit nie. As jy enige jong, ongetroude manne is, wil ek jou sommer nou 'n lewensles gee. Jy wil nie in die eerste 2 minute piek van jou storie nie, jy wil deurgaan. So ek gaan nog so 2 of 3 voorbeelde vat, tot ons by die tada oomblik kom, okay? Net julle kan sien, hoekom, ja, daar is een wat daai joke gevang het. Kom ons begin so heel orde. Wie sê grond? Wel dan. Oom. En die ander oom. My oë is sleg, ek noem julle maar ooms. Na nagte se wakker lê, toe besef ek, eerste ding, die Here het presies geweet wat hy doen, toe hy grond gebruik het om mens te maak. Want grond, in my opinie, was toe al die tyd die mees kosbaarste, mees waardevolste element op aarde. As jy my nie glo nie, as dit nie vir grond was, dan was daar nie 'n gat in die grond en die groen gras groei daarom. En as daar nie 'n gat in die grond is nie, is daar nie 'n plek om 'n boom te plant nie, as daar nie 'n boom is nie, nie suurstof nie. As dit nie vir grond was, was daar nêrens om gras te plant nie, was daar nie gras nie, was daar niks vir beeste om te eet nie, was daar nie beeste nie, was daar nie vleis nie, was daar nie vleis nie, was ek taamlik negatief. Ernstig, as die Here nie wou hê ons moes beeste eet nie, moes hy hulle nie uit vleis uitgemaak het nie. As dit nie vir grond was, was daar nêrens vir ons boere om te plant nie. As dit nie vir grond was, was daar niks om ons damme en ons riviere te hou nie. As dit nie vir grond was nie, het die hele aarde nie bestaan nie. Wie het al gehoor die aarde bestaan uit 70% water? Steek op jou hand. Dis die grootste leen van jou lewe. Die aarde bestaan uit 100% grond. 70% van sy oppervlakte is bedek met water. Onder die oseane, grond. As ek 'n saad vat en ek plant hom in goud, diamante of platinum, gaan hy groei. Julle ryk gat het dit al getraai. Eerlikheid, ons moet bid dat hierdie gebou beskerm word, want as hierdie ding aan mekaar in sak, is die hele Nelspruit se ekonomie en sy dinges in. Maar hoe cool is hierdie? Waar kry ons goud, diamante en platinum? In die grond. So kom julle agter, ek's eintlik ek's 'n fan van grond. Okay, as hulle 'n manier kan kry om dit nog beter te laat proe ook, sal ek dit seker vir ontbyt ook eet. Want grond is alles. So in vandag se storie is jy grond. En jy kan huis te hardloop sê, hoe durf hy lelike ding my, ek gee nie om nie. Ek is Joe Dirt, julle is MSM grond, okay? Want sien, as jy grond is jy die mees waardevolste, mees kosbaarste element op hierdie aarde. En dit beteken, iets kan binne in jou geplant word. En dit is gedoen, die dag toe jy gebore is, het elke liewe een van ons 'n geskenk by die Here gekry. Elke liewe een van ons. Die probleem is net, niemand leer dit vir ons nie. Hulle vra ons net die hele tyd goeie, soos, het jy al jou roeping? Weet jy wat is jou roeping? Jy weet, wat is jou doel op aarde? Is daar nog mense soos ek wat sukkel met daai vraag? As mense sê, wat is jou doel op aarde? Of wat is jou purpose? Vind net jou purpose. Jy wys my, dan doen ek dit. Ek is nie 'n ou wat self-navigate nie. Ek het nodig dat iemand my wys. Kan jy jouself verbeel as ek vandag vir jou sê, wat is jou skepingsdoel? Hoekom is jy, elkeen van julle individueel, hier op aarde geplaas? Wat is jou roeping? Jy sal groot geld betaal om te weet, want dit bepaal alles. Dit bepaal of jy nou terug gaan werk toe, en dit bepaal of jy nou op vakansie gaan. Soos as ek geweet my roeping is musiek, het ek nooit wiskunde gevat nie. Ek het nog nooit gesin kos en tan nie. Ek meen, ek tel nie eers verder as 4 nie, want elke blurry liedjie is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. As jy 5 sê, val torre af, okay? En om die geld te tel het ons boekhouer. So ek joke. Kan nie geld wegsteek nie. Dit sal jou hele lewe verander. Sal jy bereid is om groot geld te betaal vir dit? Vir so 'n antwoord. Ek het 'n kaartmasjien gebring, so ons kan hierdie doen. Omdat daar so baie is, kan ek nie een one-on-one tyd met elke ou spandeer om vir jou te vertel wat jou lewensdoel, jou skepingsdoel nie. So wat ek gaan doen is, ek gaan julle myne vertel. Want ek beloof jou, ons is presies dieselfde. Nou eerstens, hierdie geskenk waarvan ek praat, is die een ding wat jou maak wie jy is. Dis die een ding wat jy het, wat maak dat die mense wat langs jou kom sit het, actually langs jou wou sit. Dis die enigste ding wat jy het. Die dag as jy, jammer, sien ek die ouens wat so alleen sit, kyk hulle maar net so om hulle. Dis die enigste ding, dat as jy die dag jou kop neerlê, is al wat mense ooit van jou gaan onthou. Nou hierdie geskenk wat jy by die Here gekry het, dis 'n fisiese ding, jy kan dit sien, maar hy sit ook in die hart. Hierdie geskenk waarvan ek praat, by definisie, as jy die woordeboek gaan kyk, 'n geskenk is iets wat ek het, wat ek vir jou gee. Jy kan dit nie by my koop nie, jy kan dit nie by my leen nie, en moet my nie vra daarvoor nie, dit gaan weird wees vir ons albei, okay? Dit is soos om 2 kinders te hê, die jongste een of 1 verjaar, en dan wil die jongste een ook 'n persent hê, dit werk nie so nie. Jy kies vir wie gee jy jou geskenk. Hierdie geskenk sê ek is fisies. Nou, ek weet nie of julle weet nie, maar ek is op 'n mission. Ek gaan hierdie wêreld 'n beter plek maak, ek sweer. Maar moenie vir iemand sê nie, want hulle gaan dink ek is mal. So een van my gunsteling fisiese geskenk wat ek ontdek het, gaan ek nou vir julle wys, okay? Ek love hierdie ene, ek glo dis die een wat die wêreld 'n beter plek gaan maak. Die van julle wat so ver sit, kyk asseblief mooi. Ek is nie op 'n skerm nie, so jy gaan nie so mooi kan sien nie, want dis nie groot nie. Maar ek gaan hom vinnig wys, en dan is dit verby. Is julle reg? Eyes on me. Verkieslik hierbo. Is julle reg? Hier kom hy. Ek gaan die wêreld verander met die ding. Jy hom gemis? Nee, ek sê o hierbo. Nee man, dalk sit hier die Rustenburg drukvlerk wat maak dat jy hom nie sien. Bykpad. My smile is my gift. Tensy julle nou lag het vir my pearly yellows of 'n ding. Wie van julle het nou vir my gekyk, sê gaan ek nou vir die simpel ding lag of nie, of wie het spontaan begin smile en giggel? Steek op jou hand. Sien? My gift. Julle is welkom. Almal van julle doen my nou nog 'n guns. Frons gou vir my, asof ek die irriterendste ou is wat jy in jou lewe al gekry het. Frons gou. Dames, julle kan later oor Botox worry. Ek sien van julle het al lank oor Botox geworry, maar frons gou. En terwyl jy frons, smile vir my. Stop. Van julle mag dit nooit weer in die publiek doen nie. Okay? Dis daai gogga maak vir baba, dis daai gesig, okay? Maar hoe amazing is hierdie? Daai 2 spiere kan nie saamwerk nie. Jy kan nie negatief en positief wees nie. Jy kan nie mislik en vriendelik wees nie. Kies om te smile, ek beloof jou, dit gaan die wêreld 'n beter plek maak. Kan jy dink wat se plek Nelspruit sal wees, as almal net weer 'n bietjie vriendeliker is? Net 'n bietjie. Dis die een geskenk wat ek het, as ek hom vir jou gee hom dadelik terug. Nog 'n ding sou wees, ek wil advies vir die mans gee. As jy iewers in 'n winkelsentrum staan en jy sien 'n ma met 2 klein kinders, moet nou net nie random daar gaan staan en vir haar smile nie. Sekuriteit gaan jou uitloop daar. Vra my. Nog 'n gift is 'n sin vir humor, om mense te kan laat lag, want geen om wie jy is nie. Almal hou van lag. Want as jy lag, skei jou liggaam hierdie groot woorde wat ek nog nooit eens van gehoor het, die serotonien en al hierdie endorfine wat jou laat beter voel. Dit is hoekom ons hou van lag. As ek jou kan laat lag en jy doen daai is 'n goeie grap. As ek jou kan laat lag soos 'n gekweste hyena, jy raai, is 'n beter grap. As ek jou kan laat lag en daar kom ten minste 2 druppels uit, dis die beste grappe. Kies om mekaar te laat lag. Die wêreld is klaar te ernstig. Maar hierdie is 'n klomp simpel gifts wat ek eintlik vir die kinders leer. Die gifts waaroor ek passievol is die gifts van die hart. Okay, die geskenk wat elke liewe een van ons gekry het. Ongelukkig het die kerke en die skole my en jou anders kom leer. Hulle het vir ons geleer, hierdie is waardes. As hulle ooit weer praat oor waarde, dan sê jy vir hulle, Joe sê, dis 'n geskenk, okay? Wie het al gehoor van respek? Baie min van julle. Of doen ons net nie daai participation ding nie? Wie het al gehoor van respek? Okay. Wie verstaan respek? Sien, respek is 'n gift. Ek gee jou respek. Jy kan dit nie by my koop nie. Jy kan dit nie by my leen nie, en as jy my vra daarvoor, is dit weird vir ons albei. Ons doen dit met ons kinders. Jy moet my respekteer. En agter jou rug gaan daai kind so, okay. Ek gee jou respek, nie oor wie jy is nie. Ek gee jou respek oor wie ek is. Want respek is een van my gifts. Eerlikheid. Ek meen, jy kan nou vir my sê, Joe, wees asseblief eerlik met ons. Dan sê ek, hey, my naam is Joe, ek's 'n 34-jarige musikant van Pretoria af, ek's bekend vir 'n liedjie oor 'n skip. En nou toer ek die hele land vol met 'n organisasie naam Be That Guy. Okay, ek lieg, ek's 35, maar okay, ek lieg, ek's 42, maar maak dit saak. Sê ek kies om met jou eerlik te wees. Jy kan dit nie by my koop nie, al smeek jy my om eerlik te wees. Ek kies of ek wil eerlik wees. Wie het al gehoor van loyaliteit? Nee, loyaliteit kan jy koop. Nederigheid, barmhartigheid, simpatie, empatie, vriendelikheid, vertroue, betroubaarheid. Hierdie is alles geskenke wat ons almal het, wat ons kies om te gee. Niemand kan dit koop nie. Niemand kan dit eers leen vir 'n paar minute nie. Nou, as jy nie dink, jy het een van hierdie nie, kom ek toets julle. Dames, ek sien hier's baie dames hierso vandag. Ek wil net gou hoor, want ek probeer die ouderdom, ek skat nooit ouderdom nie, dit het my al baie in die moeilikheid gekry, maar noem julle mekaar vriendin, of bestie, chommy, girlfriend, well, okay, doen julle daai ding wat julle selfies neem, en dan doen jy daai weird ding met jou mond, nee? Snaaks, niemand doen dit nie, maar as jy die foon oopmaak, hy's op selfie mode, weet hulle nie hoe dit gebeur nie, want jou laaste foto was hy. Okay, dames, ek wil weet, ken jy die volgende persoon? Is jy die volgende persoon? En net om julle my akkreditasie te gee, so baie mense vra my, wat gee jou die kwalifikasie om met vrouens te praat? Min mense weet, ek het redelik baie ondervinding onder die dames. Nie soos jy dink nie. Ek bedoel, in my huis outnumber die estrogen, die bietjie testosteroon wat ek oor het, want ek het 'n vrou, en ek het 2 dogters. Miriam bly by ons. Miriam se 2 dogters ook. Paar jaar terug toe wou my dogter se kat hê, en ek verpes 'n kat. Gelukkig toe compromise ons. Ons kry 2 wyfies. Ek sê vir my vrou, hierdie is blerrie onregverdig. Kan ek nie net 'n hond kry wat saam met my in die hoek staan en saam met my in die tuin pie nie, dat as julle ooit opgang teen my, die hond hoef net te blaf, ek hoef eers te weet wat hy sê nie, ek wil net nie weet ek's nie alleen nie. My dogters se persoonlikhede is so verskillend uiteenlopend. Hulle kon nie besluit wat se hond pappa moes kry nie. Valentynsdag 4 jaar terug, toe kry ek 2 honde. Altyd ewe. Maar toe strip ek myself. Gaan winkel toe, ek koop vir myself 'n hond. Ek is trots om te sê, ek het 'n hond gekoop, sy naam is Benjamin Black. Daai ding so blerrie stout, toe laat kastreer ek om 'n jaar terug, nou is hy ook een van hulle. So ek is maar weer op my eie en dis okay. Maar dis wat my kwalifiseer om met julle dames te praat. So dames, ek wil gou weet, het jy so iemand wat jy sal sê, vriendin, jy verstaan my. Jy weet, ek kan alles met jou deel. Jy's my hartsvriendin. Ek dink ek en jy gaan nog BFFs forever wees. En dan neem jy 'n selfie met die hashtag blessed of sulke goeters. Ken julle sulke mense? Wat se foon die hele tyd op selfie. Nou, luister mooi. Daai is dit weer. Jy kan nie so vriendin hê as liefde nie jou gift is nie. As respek, integriteit, nederigheid, loyaliteit, vertroue, barmhartigheid, empatie, simpatie nie jou gift is nie. Want dames, vertel julle hartsgeheime vir almal. Nee, jy vertel dit vir jou hartsvriendin. So jy gee haar jou vertroue. Jou vertroue is jou gift. Bestie, vriendin, as jy nou hierdie hartsgeheim hoor, gaan vertel jy dit nou weer vir die hele Nelspruit. Nee. So jy gee haar jou respek, jy gee haar jou betroubaarheid. Dis jou gift. Sien, as jy uitvind, jou vriendin se man het haar mascara laat hardloop, dan kry julle mos almal sulke katnaals en glo elke man moet 'n Benjamin Black word. Nee. Dit beteken liefde, simpatie en empatie. Dis jou gift. Die mooiste geskenk wat ek al ooit onder dames gesien het, is die simpatie en empatie waarvan ons praat. En ek het hierdie gesien met my eie oë by my eie 2 dogters. Nou 'n hele paar jaar terug. My jongste dogter was 5 jaar oud en my oudste dogter was 8. Ek is een van die grootste rugby fans wat daar is. Ek gee nie om wie speel nie, ek is rugby mal. Dinsdae en donderdag kyk ek laerskool rugby. Maandaande is Varsity Cup. Vrydaande begin super rugby of die Currybeker of daai tyd was nog Vodacom. Ek kyk elke wedstryd tot Sondag aand en dan begin ons weer Maandag met Varsity Cup en goeders. Maar weens die aard van my werk, terwyl meeste van die wedstryde aan is ek nou op die pad, so ek kan nie meer rugby kyk nie. Maar daai spesifieke oggend, ek het in Pretoria oorgeslaap by my huis. 8:00 die oggend is daar 'n game op TV. Ek is in my onderbroek af by die trappe. Ek sit die TV op mute, want ek wil nie een van die vrouens in my huis wakker maak nie. Ek soek net bietjie me time, bietjie testosteroon aanvulling. En terwyl ek so rugby kyk in silence, toe kom my jongste dogter by daai trappe afgehardloop. En sy skiep hulle 5 op 'n slag. En sy sê, "Daddy!" Ek het nie geweet of ek 'n ambulans moet bel of 'n skoon onderbroek moet gaan haal nie. Hier is daai gesprek. Sy sê, "Daddy!" Ek sê, "Wat's fout?" Sussie huil. "Wat gebeur?" "Ek weet nie." "Hoekom huil sy?" "Ek weet nie." "Hoekom huil jy?" "Want Sussie huil." Sê ek, "Man, jy's weird, maar dis mooi." En ek besef toe, dit verander nooit nie. Ek en my vrou is al 19 jaar saam. Sy doen dit ook. Sy stap in. Kan ek sien, sy wil hê ek moet besef, iets is nie reg nie. En sê ek, "Hey, mooi ding. Wat's fout?" Dan gee sy my die 4-vinger niks. Ken jy hom? Niks. Sê ek, "Hey man, ek kan sien ons fout. Jy kan met my praat." Ek sê, "Kyk." Is jy seker? Ja. En dan eventually, as jy net reg deurgebreek het, dan sê sy, "Debbie se man wil haar skei en ek kan nie meer deel nie." En sê ek, "Wow, dis nie ons probleem nie. Dis Debbie se probleem. Ek hoor jou, maar hoekom raak dit jou so?" Weet jy hoekom? Sy is so lief vir haar vriendin dat as haar vriendin seer het, het sy seer. Dis simpatie en empatie. Ons manne is 'n bietjie meer solied as dit kom by daai. Ons het nie pakkaters en nee? Sien ek 'n paar manne sak hulle kop in skaamte. Daai selfie kamera werk oor tyd. Manne, ek wil weet, ken jy hierdie volgende ou? Is jy hierdie volgende ou? Weet jy van die volgende ou? En ek gaan dink hoe ek in my pelle was toe ek op skool was, so 'n paar jaartjies terug. Ek sou iets sê soos, "Broer, jy sien my bloed nie, maar jy is soos 'n boetie vir my. Jy weet, ek en jy, ons gaan brothers for life wees. Hier's ek, hierdie is jy. Ek is tight like tigers. As daar ooit 'n fight uitbreek, bid ek vir die dag wat ons rug teen rug kan staan en piets ek die kant, jy maak daai kant skoon. Hulle gaan ons nie keer nie." Wie het so pel? Wie ken so ou? As jou handie nou op is, wil ek kies jou pelle beter, okay? Nou manne, jy kan nie so pel wees as integriteit, loyaliteit, eerlikheid, nederigheid, barmhartigheid nie jou giftes nie. Maar tog het ons almal daai een pel waarvoor ons die hele tyd moet voorbrand maak as ons by vreemde mense kom. Hoorie, hy's eintlik 'n nice ou as jy hom eers leer ken. Stront, jou pel is 'n poepel, okay? Sorry. Hy is. Maar die feit dat jy van hom hou, beteken dat hy daai karaktereienskappe al in jou gewys. Daai geskenke van wie hy eintlik is, het hy al vir jou gewys. En die mooiste geskenk onder ons mans is 'n manier, die gawe wat ons het om lojaal teenoor mekaar, om mekaar se rug te hê. Dis ek ook sê, jy kort so 'n paar manne in jou hoek wat jy weet jou rug sal hê, maak nie saak wat nie. En ek dink nou aan loyaliteit. My 2 pelle op skool, Cor en John. Ek dink hulle is nou al in die hel iewers. Hulle was regtig, hulle is stoute manne gewees. Maar meer lojaal het ek nog nooit in my lewe gesien. Nou toe ek op skool was daar hierdie ding wat die ouens rondgeloop het in Giel. Ek weet nie of julle kan onthou nie. Kinders vandag noem dit gleek. Sien jou tong optel, en dan skiet jy speeksel. Baie keer as jy 'n suurlemoen, dan skiet jy speeksel per ongeluk. Weet julle waarvan ek praat? Ek kan dit tot vandag toe nie doen nie. Cor en John, daai 2 loop asof hulle betaal word. Julle pouse maak dat spoeg hulle so op mense. En in biologieklas sit juffrou Simpson, my lesenaar, teenhare. Ek dink sy het my gelike. En agter my sit sy vir Cor en John. En in een periode spoeg hierdie 2 manne so nat kol agter op my rug. En dis waar loyaliteit in kom. Ek het hulle nie gesplit nie. Nee, ek lieg. Nee, dis nie hoekom ek niks gesê het nie. Ek het nie gesplit nie, want ek het geweet, ek het die mooiste, die grootste, geelste, en ek draai om, want sien, die ding in my mond, it was addressed to whoever it may concern, en ek sla daai John op sy ken en sy keel, so gelyk, het hang so, yes, En nou sê almal 6, wat van Cor? Nee, 2 vlee met 1 klap. Toe Cor sien wat op John se ken hang, toe doen hy daai 1-0 vir Joe. Maar dis op baie stadium wat juffrou Simpson sê, Joe, jy en jou trawante hoof toe. En weer eens, die kinders van vandag dink ek kan blerry bly wees. Sê ons het pak gekry vir alles. Lyfstraf was nie 'n ding nie, lyfstraf was die ding, okay? Ek meen, ek onthou, ek het pak gekry omdat ek laat kom vir rugby oefening, maar my pa was die coach wat my moes rugby toe vat. Hy het my laat gemaak en toe slat hy my omdat ek laat is. Dis daai tipe ding. Jy daag op by die skool en roep hulle jou, het slat net sommer. So toe ek by daai hoof se kantoor instap saam met my 2 trommies, toe sê daai hoof vir my, staan hy klaar met sy rottang, hy sê, Jokie, jokie, jokie. Ek wag hulle rukkie vir jou. Ek het geweet is nie regte tyd om te sê hulle moet dan daai interkom opgradeer nie, want ek het nog nooit gehoor hulle roep my nie. Maar toe ek instap, gryp hy my agter die nek en hy druk my kop onder sy lesenaar in. En wat ek nou nog vir die kinders, selfs my eie kinders leer, pak sla is nie so erg nie. Okay, vat jou pak. 3 minute brand hy en dan sit verby en dan is jou sondes vergewe. So pak was nie wat my bang gemaak het nie. Dit was die torture voor die tyd. Wanneer 'n hoof van 65 maak asof hy hierdie nog nooit gedoen het nie. Bang hy slat die lig uit, die buislig. Maak of hy sy rug gaan uitgooi want hier kom dit nou. En elke keer net voor hy gaan, ek weet al hier kom alle hel wat op my boude gaan losreën. Maar dit was in daai stadium net voor alle hel lossak. Toe hoor ek vir die eerste keer in my lewe die stem van 'n engel. Dit was Cor. Toe hy sê, meneer, hoekom is Joe hierso? Sy nee, juffrou Simpson sê, julle slange, julle spoeg mos. Hy sê, meneer, is net ek en John wat kan gil. Daarin kan nie eens gil nie, wys hom, maar kom maar op, ek maak, niks. Nog nooit in my lewe so trots op myself dat ek niks kan doen nie, en ek sien die teleurstelling in daai man se gesig toe hy vir my sê ek moet buite staan. En julle weet ons het nog geklassifiseer as 6 van die bestes, 3 van die bestes. Ek moes buite staan en hoor hoe kry my pelle elkeen 3 van die bestes. Dis loyaliteit. Hulle het geweet my hart gaan dit nie hou in daai ding. Wat ek probeer sê is, hierdie gifts waarvan ek praat, almal van ons het dit. Ongelukkig het ons dit misplaas, ons het geleer, ons het vergeet hoe belangrik hierdie is, want opgesom in 1 woord, noem ons dit jou karakter, ek noem dit hart. Dis wie jy is. As jy al ooit gehoor het, jy is uniek, want niemand ryk soos jy, lyk soos jy, vingerafdrukke so, dis nie wat jou uniek maak nie. Wat jou uniek maak, is die kombinasie van gifts wat binne in jou hart is, wat vorm wie jy is. Ons kies ons vriende gebaseer op die gifts wat ons nodig het. So as jy na my vriendekring gaan kyk, sê jy sien, my pelle, hulle is snaaks, hulle het sin vir humor. My pelle is nederig. My pelle is loyaal. My pelle is beskermd, betroubaar. Ek meen, as ek hulle 2 uur in die oggend bel, vra hulle nie wat gaan aan, hulle sê ek's nou daar. Want ek het dit nodig in my vriendekring, het ek ouens nodig wat my rug sal hê, ouens wat my beskerm, ouens wat my accountable hou. En dit kom alles uit hierdie geskenk wat hulle dra as mens. So opgesom, dis wie jy is. Nou in my opinie is daar 3 redes hoekom jy is wie jy is in 'n tyd soos vandag. En ek sê dit want ek onthou nou net na COVID, toe gaan praat ek by 'n skool en al die kinders sit met maskers, kom elke 2de, 3de dag eers skool toe en ek sê vir hulle, hoor hierso julle, ek haal my hoed vir julle af want ek dink nie ek sou skool kon klaarmaak in 'n pandemie nie. So, wel dan, julle is sterk en julle doen goed. En toe besef ek was nie geroep om 'n matriekleerling te wees in COVID nie. Daai tyd was ek geroep om 'n 39 of 40-jarige man te wees wat musiek sing. Jy is geroep vir 'n tyd soos nou, maar ons vergeet hierdie. So die eerste rede is, God soek jou geskenk terug. Dis hy wat dit vir jou gegee het, en die doel met jou geskenk, of jou karakter, jou hart, is die feit dat jy moet die wêreld 'n beter plek maak. Jy moet mense optel, jy moet mense genees, jy moet mense hoop gee, jy moet mense inspireer. Jy moet almal soos 'n iemand kan laat voel, want niemand verdien om soos 'n niemand te voel, gebaseer op wat hulle het of waar hulle vandaan kom nie. Maar as God jou wil gebruik om die wêreld 'n beter plek te maak, om lewens te verander, is daar altyd 'n counterfeit, 'n teenoorgestelde. En die tweede ding is, ek het die fout gemaak. Ek het 'n vriendin wat 'n kleuterskool het. Sy sê vir my, Joe, sê jy die konsep van ons gifts vir my beertjie klas kom verduidelik? Ek sê ja, ek het nie geweet die beertjie klas is 5 jaar oud nie. Weet jy hoe praat jy met 'n 5-jarige? Jy draai jou tone effens na mekaar toe, dan buig jy jou knie 'n bietjie, Dan moet jy 'n oop palm op jou been sit, laat hulle kan sien, jy is nie 'n bedreiging nie. En jy moet baie hoor praat. So ek sê vir hulle, Jesus soek jou gift, en die duiwel soek jou gift. Fout was van daai kinders kom vir apparently vir 2 weke nie slaap nie. Van hulle sweer die duiwel homself, hy het net so baard en tattoos en hy wil hulle gift steel. So ek sê nie meer die duiwel nie. Ek sê die wêreld soek jou gift. God soek jou gift, maar die wêreld soek jou gift. Dat dit wat God in jou so mooi gemaak het, te draai, te manipuleer en 'n counterfeit vir die wêreld terug te gee. Dat waar God eenheid soek, kry jy verdeeldheid. Waar God liefde soek, kry jy haat. Waar God respek soek, kry jy hierdie anargie, hierdie totale disrespek vir almal en enigiemand. Die derde ding, en voor dit ook, het jy geweet hoe jy met mense praat en hoe jy oor mense praat, dis ook jou geskenk. Ek toets dit, dude, jy is cooler as wat jy dink jy is. Ek het jou nou al gesien hier, so jy's eintlik nicer as wat jy dink jy is, hoor. Raak vir my rustig. Jy is nie so cool soos wat jy dink jy is, hoor. Anyway, kom ek grap. As jy my gaan try, ek ken baie mense in Nelspruit, moet nou nie 'n fight begin nie. Okay, ek joke net. Okay, jy lyk nou voel ek sleg. Het jy pelle gebring? Nee, dan is dit cool. Hoe kan die geskenk wat God, die gawe wat God my gee, gebruik word om een ou se dag te maak? Joe Black het nou net gesê hoe cool is hy. Maar 'n ander ou in die grond in te trap. Ek het vir jou kort geskiedenis gee. Ek het konstruksie gelos omdat ek vir my vrou gesê het daar bly 2 mense binne in my. Hierdie pappa wat in die oggend vir sy kinders sê, gaan wees alles wat jy wil wees. Wees 'n nice mens, wees vriendelik en laat mense beter voel. En dan kom ek op my site en die eerste man wat ek sê, ek gaan jou kop van jou lyf afklap as ek weer hoor hoe praat jy of wat ook al. Vanaand as ek by die huis kom sê ek, het julle iemand se dag gemaak? Het julle 'n lekker dag gehad? Dit sê ek my vrou, hierdie gesplete persoonlikheid werk nie. So ek kies eerder die beter ene. Sien, die derde rede is sekerlik die belangrikste. God soek jou gift, maar die wêreld gaan jou gift vat. Hierdie ouens wat so negativiteit op 'n braaivleisvuur vir jou klaar verduidelik hoe ons ekonomie in sy ding is. Ek spandeer nie tyd saam met daai mense nie. Dit is nie omdat ek probeer wegkruip en nie die waarheid wil hoor of wat ook al nie. Ek kies om eerder die hoop te bring. Ek kies eerder om vir jou te sê, ja, ek hoor jou, maar dis hoekom die Here ons gaan laat uitstaan bo hierdie ding. Wanneer die ander ouens se oeste of wat ook al misluk, weet ek ons gaan floreer, want ek het 'n hoop en 'n vertroue dat die Here sal deurkom. Want as hy nie deurkom hierdie jaar nie, sal dit die eerste keer wees. Die derde rede, om hom vir jou te verduidelik, moet ek jou terugvat na die konsep van hoekom in die lewe sou ek vir jou sê, jy's grond. Grond in vandag se konteks is alles wat jou terughou. Grond is alles wat jy wens, jy die vermoë gehad om te verander. Grond is alles wat jy, as ek jou wens gegee het, so jy sê, ek wens dit was so. Nou grond is ook fisies, nou jy kan dit sien, maar dit is emosioneel. Dis daai wat ons nooit vir mense ontbloot het. So 'n fisiese ding sou wees, as jy nou vir my kyk, en jy sit in jou kop en dink, Joe, ek's te vet, ek's te maar, ek's te dom, ek's arm, ek's nie suksesvol nie, my tone lyk soos knik-knak, sorry, daai is persoonlik. Nee, ek het nie geel tone nie, ek het net nie mooi tone nie, ek het lelike voete gekry. Dis daai goed, as ek nou vir jou sê, hoor jy, ek gee jou een wens, verander enigiets fisies. Jy sê, ek soek kleiner ore, ek soek meer hare, ek wil maarder, ek wil langer wees, ek wil ryker wees, ek wil meer suksesvol hê, ek soek 'n groter plaas. Dis die fisiese goeders wat ons na begeer, wat ons wens, was anders as wat dit nou is. Maar die emosionele grond, dis die vieslike ding. Dis daai goed wat ek nooit vir jou sal sê nie, want ek is bang as jy uitvind wat my emosionele grond is, gaan jy my nie respekteer nie. Jy gaan anders kyk op, jy gaan dalk meer kyk op my as jy weet wat eintlik hier binne gaan. Dis daai goeders soos jy wat hier sit en sê, Joe, jy weet nie hoe moeg ek is nie. Jy weet nie hoe bly hard het ek gewerk om te kom tot waar ek hier is nie. Jy weet nie hoe naby is ek aan alles verloor nie. Jy weet nie hoe bly naby is ek aan opgee nie. Jy weet nie wat met my gebeur toe ek jonger was nie. Jy weet nie waardeur ek gaan nie. Dis daai goed dat as jy so bang om dit te ontbloot aan iemand, want sodra hulle weet wat jou grond is jy bang hulle gebruik dit teen jou. So daarom moet ek daai tweede storie gou vertel, dat ons gou tyd mors. Goeie storie daai. My pa is nie 'n dokter nie. My ma ook nie. Ek was al by 'n hospitaal, maar apparently tel dit nie. Wat beteken ek het regtig nie so ryk groot geword nie. Okay, inteendeel, ek het die teenoorgestelde van ryk groot geword. Wat beteken ons het nie die mooiste huise en die slapste karre gehad nie. Ek was eers die blerrie hoofseun van my laerskool nie. Ek voel hulle vermoë en potensiaal raak te sien dit was die probleem. Nog minder was ek die hoofseun van my hoërskool. In alle eerlikheid, ek het amper die matriek klaar gemaak nie. Wat beteken ek het nog nooit die voorreg gehad om medies te gaan swat nie. Jy moet slim wees daarvoor en jy moet geld hê daarvoor. Wat beteken ek het nog nooit die voorreg gehad om op te skop nie. Kan jy imagine, ek staan voor my pa en sê ek, dude, jy weet ek's 'n rockstar. My pa, as jy hom dude noem, hy sê jy so vinnig vlot, dis nie eens snaaks. Jy sal hy ou nie eens gesien kom het nie. Wat beteken my pa het vir my 'n gitaar en 'n bus gekoop en dis van daai dag wat ek my passie uitleef en my drome uitleef. Dit was 'n keuse om te sê, weet jy wat, hier gaan nie net oor my nie. So wat ek vandag wil doen, ek wil nie weet wat jou grond nie. Okay, jou grond is jou grond. Ek het genoeg van my eie. Maar wat ek wil doen is, ek wil net 'n bietjie van my grond met jou deel. Want ek beloof jy gaan sien my en jou grond presies dieselfde. So ek was 5 jaar oud toe skei my pa en my ma. Ek sê dit want ek weet so baie van julle wat hier sit kom uit geskeide huise uit en oor die ouderdomsgroep wat voor my sit, besef ek, hier is soveel van julle wat die geskeide ouers is. Dis okay. Dis ons grond. My ma het 4 kinders. Ons is 3 seuns en 'n dogter, so jy kan imagine, dis nie maklik om hulle groot te maak nie. En my ma het vinnig besef, sy het nie genoeg geld om 4 kinders groot te maak nie. Toe gee sy my van my oupa en my ouma om groot te maak. Ek sê dit want ek weet hier soveel van julle wat hier sit wat by oupas en oumas groot geword het en weer eens uit die aard van vandag se ekonomie en dit weet ek hier sit soveel oupas en oumas wat nou nog na hulle kinders moet kyk. Dis okay, dis ons grond. Toe ek 7 jaar oud was, toe neem my ouma haar eie lewe en is net ek en my oupie oor. Ek sê dit want ek weet hier sit so baie van julle hierso wat al iemand na aan jou in die dood moes afstaan en jy dra nou nog hy seer saam met jou. Of dit nou jou man, vrou, jou pa, ma, seun, dogter, familielid is wat na aan jou is en jy loop nou nog met die seer want sien, samelewing het onsensitief geraak. Die reël sou wees as iemand nou doodgaan, mag jy afvat van jou beroep af tot die dag na die begrafnis, dan moet jy teruggaan en dan moet ons aangaan asof niks gebeur het nie. Maar daar's seer wat ek al vir oor die 30 jaar mee rondloop. So daai hartseer wat jy voel, dis okay, dis jou grond. Gelukkig het my pa en my ma weer getrou. Nie met mekaar nie, dit sou weird wees. My pa is al 4 keer getroud, my ma 3 keer. Moedersdag is 'n broadcast message vir my. Too soon. Sorry, donker. Ek sê dit weer eens, want ek weet hier soveel van julle wat by stiefmaas en stiefpaas groot geword het. Weens die aard van wie voor my sit, besef ek van julle wat hier sit, is die stiefpaas en die stiefmaas. Die probleem hiermee is, die wêreld het ons laat glo dat stief is 'n slegte konnotasie. Inteendeel, stief beteken to fill a gap that was there. Ek vermoed net my stiefpa was nie mal oor kinders nie, veral nie die een nie. Ek het ook nie maklik gemaak nie. Sien, voor my 13de verjaarsdag toe kry ek my eerste gekraakte kakebeen en 3 gebreekte ribbes %. Ek sê dit, want ek weet dis van julle wat al fisies so aangerand is. Ek weet dis van julle wat al emosioneel so afgebreek is. Ek weet vir 'n feit dis van julle wat hier sit wat al seksueel aangerand is. Dis okay. Dis ons grond. Maar sien, van 9-jarige ouderdom sukkel ek met depressie. Ek het al meer keer my eie lewe probeer neem as wat ek op 2 hande kan tel. En die laaste keer was ek al 'n volgroeide man wat al hierdie waarhede kamstig geweet het. Maar iewers het ek 'n leuen geglo dat ek is nie goed genoeg nie. My vrou en my kinders, weet jy, hulle sal beter af wees. Ek's meer werd dood as wat ek is lewendig. My vrou en my kinders sal uitgesort wees as Joe Black die dag doodgaan. Ek sê dit want ek weet dis van julle wat hierso gesit het. En in die laaste jaar, of die laaste 10 of die laaste dag gedink het dalk sê jy almal net 'n blerrie groot guns doen as jy nie meer bestaan het nie. Daai gedagtes, dis okay. Dis ons grond. Ek kan vir jou aangaan. Maar om dit relevant te hou, wil ek jy moenie luister wat het met my gebeur nie. Luister gou, hoe het ek al gevoel? Ek was al eensaam. Ek het gevoel niemand verstaan my nie. Ek het al soos die grootste mislukking in hierdie wêreld gevoel. Ek het al so blerrie minderwaardig tussen mense gevoel omdat ek nie so suksesvol is nie so goed is, nie so mooi is, nie so ryk is soos hulle nie. Ek het al gewens, ek wens die aarde wil 'n gat oopmaak en my net insluk en weet jy wat 10 gaan mense nie eens agterkom ek is nie meer hier nie. Ek het al gevoel ek het die gatkant van die lewe gekry. Ek het gevoel my hele lewe is net 'n uphill battle. Alles wat ek probeer aanpak, vou ek. Enige ding wat ek probeer is 'n crap idee. Ek het net gevoel ek is so waardeloos, dit maak eers saak. Ek het al geglo ek gaan nooit bo uitkom nie. Nou wil ek by jou hoor, ek wil nie weet wat is jou grond nie, okay? Hierdie is my issues gewees. Ek wil net weet, is ek die enigste een met grond? Of is die, as jy grond het, ek wil nie weet wat dit is nie, ek wil net weet of jy, as jy grond het, steek vir my jou hand op, asseblief. Sien? Al hierdie toekoms van die macadamia boere, hier lê genoeg grond om nog landerye en plantasies en orchards soos hy uit te sit. Want net deur die feit dat julle nou julle hande opgesteek het, beteken dis vir my, daar's vir my hoop. Dis die derde rede. Die mense in hierdie vertrek soek nie jou gift nie, maar hulle het jou gift so blerry nodig. Want net by wys van hande wat julle hier opgesteek het, weet ek, hier sit mense in hierdie gehoor wat nie okay is nie, en dis okay. Hier sit mense wat gestres is, hier sit mense wat fisies en geestelik, emosioneel moeg is. Hier's mense wat wil opgee. Hier's mense wat seer ronddra wat hulle jou nie eens van kan vertel nie. Hier's mense wat al lank al hulle gatte gesien het, maar te veel trots het om vir jou te sê hulle het al. Hier sit mense wat sukkel om kop bo water te hou. En daarom is dit jou plig om jou hand uit te steek, om die op te tel wat geval het. Die te dra wat moeg is. Te gee vir die wat nie het nie. Te beskerm die wat bang is. Be that guy. Wees daai vrou. So ek het hierdie organisasie begin, ek noem dit Be That Guy, en toe veg helfte van die populasie met my, toe begin ek maar Be That Girl ook. Ha. Nou noem ek dit net BTG, Everyday Heroes. Want ek het besef, ek het nie genoeg geld om die wêreld 'n beter plek te maak nie. Ek het nie genoeg geduld of die tyd om die wêreld 'n beter plek te maak nie. Maar wat ek wel het, is ek het 'n ongelooflike passie vir mense gekry. Sodat ek gee nie om wie jy is of waar jy vandaan kom nie. Glo nie om wat jy bereik het nie. Ek's agter jou hart aan. Dis hoe ek kan 'n simpel ding vir jou doen. Want ek neem nou aan, omdat ons nou by die macadamia services het almal iets te doen met macadamias. As jy iets peanuts boer, verkeerde crowd, jy moet gaan. So as ek jou vra, wat doen jy vir 'n lewe? Sal, ek dink 90% van julle sê julle boer, is ek reg? Wat doen jy vir 'n lewe, dame? O, joernalis, jy boer nie. Skryf hierdie goed neer, jy moenie my quote op hierdie crap nie. Hulle gaan my cancel. Ek het 3 keer al poepel gesê, moenie dit skryf. Oom, wat doen oom vir 'n lewe? Lekker. Wat doen jy vir 'n lewe, meneer? Boer, wat doen jy vir 'n lewe? Software. Kyk, julle slim op. Wat doen jy vir 'n lewe? Okay. Dit is waar ons probleem inkom. Ons hele identiteit word gebaseer wat jy doen vir geld. Ek het jou gevra, wat doen jy vir 'n lewe, en toe sê jy my, wat doen jy vir 'n inkomste, en jy draai daai identiteit asof dit alles wat jy doen. So as jy my vra, Joe, wat doen jy vir 'n lewe, dan sê ek jag, ek speel golf, toer die land, ek ook kuier baie in Nelspruit hier by my pelle, ek hou van tyd saam met my familie, want dit sê, nee man, wat doen jy vir geld? Niks met jou uit te baie nie. Want sien, my lewe word bepaal, as ek vir jou sê, wat doen ek vir 'n lewe, laat ek jou weet wat my lewendig laat raak. Want weer, die samelewing het ons laat glo, dat jou titel, jou sukses, lê in 'n beroep. So op 'n naweek as ek jou vra, wat doen jy vir 'n lewe, en sê, nee, ek is 'n prokureur. Nee, jy's nou 'n pel, jy's nou 'n pa, jy's 'n broer, jy's 'n vriend, jy's 'n seun. Maandag as jy op kantoor is, kan jy weer jou werk aanneem. En dit is waarmee ek jou wil los hier. Wat jy bereik het, en ek wil julle nie embarrass oor die wat doen julle vir geld nie. Dis nog steeds 'n belangrike ding, maar dis nie jou titel nie. As jy gewerk het vir die doktertitel, ek is bly vir jou, maar wanneer jy hier sit nou, is jy 'n vriend. Wanneer jy hier sit nou, is jy 'n pa, of 'n ma, of 'n broer, of 'n seun. Dit wat ons bereik het, en dit wat ons het, is nie die ding wat jou definieer nie. Want die dag wanneer ek die voorreg dalk het om op jou begrafnis te staan, nog nooit gebeur, en ek was al by 'n paar begrafnisse, julle sal sien, my een hand is altyd langer as die ander, want ek dra altyd regs voor. Nog 'n donker grappie, sorry. Ek was nog nooit by begrafnis, wat ook instap by die kerk op hulle noticebord, jou bankstate gesit nie. En parkeer hulle al jou karre daar buite, hulle drone foto's van al jou beleggings en jou eiendomme, jou plaas se grootte, tot op die vierkante meter vir my uitgewerk daarso, dat toe ek instap kon ek sien wat jy was nie. Nee, wanneer ons al binne is, dan vertel hulle my wie jy was. Jy was daai pa, wat sy rug sou breek, om vir sy vrou en sy kinders te sorg. Jy was daai pel, wat ek 2 uur die oggend kon bel, en as ek sê, hey, dan sê ek's nou daar. Ek het nog nooit 'n ou gesien wat meer nederig is nie. Ek het nog nooit 'n ou gesien, hy's so suksesvol, maar weet jy, as enige ander boer na hom toe kom en sê, hoor jy, ek sukkel met hierdie, en sê, kom ek help jou. Dis wat hulle jou voor gaan onthou. En dit is hierdie kombinasie van gifts hier binne, wat jou maak wie jy is. So wat my moed gee en hoop gee, is 'n groep soos hierdie, dat wanneer ek die volgende vraag vra, kan ek sien wie is die ouens wat inkoop in 'n visie van al hoe ek en jy hierdie plek gaan red, hoe ons hierdie plek 'n beter plek gemaak, is deur wie te wees, dit te wees wat ons geskape was. Voor jy 'n sent gehad het, het jy 'n sin vir humor gehad. Voor jy 'n beroep gehad het, jy 'n integriteit in jou gehad, 'n eerlikheid, 'n nederigheid, 'n hart gehad vir mense om jou. En vir alles julle nou in 'n tydperk ingaan, ek eet julle makadamias, maar ek weet nie hoe werk dit nie. Ek het nou eers gesien, daai ronde ding was hier makadamia neet. Ek koop maar net die heel ene wat ek in die winkel kry. Maar ek hoor hoe praat julle van is 'n donker tyd wat voor lê. As dit julle eerste donker tyd is, verstaan ek as almal negatief is of as almal nervous is. Maar as hierdie nie die eerste keer is, dan wil ek vir jou sê, jou track record om jou slegste dae te survive, jy doen goed, jy is nog steeds hier, so dit beteken jy het 'n 100% track record om deur die donkerste tye te kom. So hierdie een wat kom, is byt net op ons tande en ons beer voort. So dames, ek weet nie of wie van julle is wat sê, soos jou, ek het baie grond, maar ek wil iemand wees, wat weer opstaan vir respek, vir eerlikheid, vir betroubaarheid, vertroue, nederigheid, empatie, simpatie, barmhartigheid. Want die wêreld kort meer sulke mense. Nelspruit, Witrivier, die Laagveld kort meer sulke mense. Julle industrie kort meer mense wat sê, hoe help ek? In plaas van, as die een gaan, is daar meer werk vir die ander nie. Om saam te staan. Is daar 'n dame wat sê, ek wil daai tipe vrou of daai tipe mens wees? Steek net so vinnig, steek jou hand so. Okay, sak jou hand. Nou manne, voor ek julle hierdie vraag vra. Ek loop elke liewe skool, en hierdie is belaglik, ek het al seker 2500 skole toegespreek in die laaste 6 jaar. Elke keer wat ek hierdie vraag vra, wil 'n laaitie met my kom praat en vir my 'n naam gee. Ek sê, ek soek die naam, ek soek een ou se naam. As julle hom vir my gee, beloof ek julle, ek sal hom delete namens elke man in Suid-Afrika. Ek is nie bang om weer tronk toe te gaan. Ek bedoel, ek is nie bang om tronk toe te gaan nie. Beter navorsing doen oor julle sprekers. Ek sweer, as ek moet in die tronk gaan sit, namens elke man in Suid-Afrika, doen ek dit met die grootste trots. Ek soek die ou, wat vir my en jou kom leer het, dat dit oukei is, om nie 'n gentleman te wees nie. Dat dit oukei is om arrogant en bombasties, neerhalig, windgat en al daai tipe goeders te kyk. Die ou wat my en jou laat glo het, as hulle praat van die groot menere of wat ook al, het hulle gepraat van jou geld en al daai tipe. Ek soek die ou wat my en jou daai leen laat glo het. Ek sweer ek delete hom. Want wat ons nou weer kort is ouens met ruggraat. Ouens met integriteit. Ouens met nederigheid en eerlikheid en respek en barmhartigheid. Nie net vir myself nie, nie net vir die vrouens of die mense wat saam met ons werk nie. Vir elke mens daar buite. Want dit is wat die wêreld vandag kort, is om terug te kom, om ons geskenke te gaan deel asof dit op seil is vir 99 sent. Is hier 'n man wat sê, luister, so ek is so vol van die grond of wat ook, maar ek wil daai ou wees wat weer staan vir respek. Dat as mense na my kyk, sou hulle sê, weens jou het ek nooit opgegee nie. Weens die feit dat jy so na aan my was, of so langs my was, of so nederig met my was, of so behulpsaam was, of so betroubaar was, het jy my die moed gegee om deur te gaan. Is daar 'n ou in hierdie vertrek wat dit doen? Wat sê, ek wil daai ou wees? Steek jou aan? Sak jou aan. Ek wil afsluit. Ek wil sê, almal wat nou gesê het, luister, dis die tipe waardes, dis die tipe mens wees waarvoor ek wil staan. Almal wat dit gedoen het, vrouens en mans en wie, staan gaan net gou vir my. Hier is die laaste oefening. Yes, en as jy wil bene rek, jy dit ook doen. Ek gaan nie name vat nie, maar dit lyk pretty impressive hierso. So, as jy wil staan, staan. Daar's 3 redes hoekom ek jou laat staan. Die eerste rede is, vir die, as jy wil sit, want jy voel jy glo nie in hierdie nie, of jy stem nie saam nie, wil ek jy, die wat sit, as jy ooit in die moeilikheid is, as jy ooit voel jy staan alleen, of jy is besig om die plot te verloor, wil ek jy wat sit, kyk gou om jou wie staan. Want hierdie is boere, hierdie is mense om jou wat hulle hand opsteek en sê, as jy ooit in die moeilikheid is, as jy ooit iemand nodig het, count on me. Want dis wat ons doen. Die tweede rede, jy wat staan, as jy ooit soos ek raak, want ek kan negas raak. Het jy al 'n negatiewe ou ontmoet? Hier staan hy. Jare terug ry ek 'n so skorrel Land Rover Defender. Hy het my blerrie ver gevat, net nooit teruggebring nie. Ek ry met hom van Pretoria af Kaapstad toe om 'n skool te gaan toespreek, want daai tyd ek vra die skole donasies en ek het R200 vir daai ingekry. En dit is 'n maandagooggend en ek praat met 'n skool en 'n hele skool van 1500 kinders staan op en sê vir my ons gaan die wêreld verander en ek kry hoendervleis kop tot tone en ek stap buite toe. En hier lê my foon, is 'n agent wat ek 6 maande voor dit moes fire, maar ek het nie. Sy sê, Joe, ek het 'n fout gemaak. Ek sê, wat? Sy sê, Messina sit nie in die Weskaap nie. Ek sê, nee, hy doen nie. Sy sê, jy moet môreoggend 11:00, of jy moet môreoggend in Messina praat. Sê ek vir haar, jy weet van my huis af, is die Kaap 1500 kilos daai kant toe. In Messina is 600 kilos daai kant toe. Wat beteken is ten minste 2200 kilos van die Kaap tot in Messina. Sy sê, ja. Ek sê, jy weet, ek sê met my Land Rover wat nie vinniger as 100 kan gaan nie. Ek is jammer. Ek ry 9:00 die oggend uit Kaapstad uit. Deur die oggend, deur die middag, deur die aand, deur die oggend. Ek stop 11:00 die volgende oggend. 26 ure later stop ek in Messina en ek praat met 'n skool van 1000 plus kinders en ek sê, gaan ons die wêreld 'n beter plek maak. Kriek, kriek. As daai kinders weet hoe naby ek aan moord was daai dag, sou hulle my nooit nooi nie. Ek klim in my kar en ek slat daai deur toe en ek sê, Here, is ek mal om te dink ek kan die wêreld inspireer om terwille van ons almal, terwille van ons kinders, net 'n bietjie meer genade, 'n bietjie meer liefde met mekaar te hê, 'n bietjie meer compassion met mekaar te hê. En dis daai dag wat ek besef het, ja, ek is mal om te dink ek gaan die wêreld verander. So wat ek jou wil vra, as jy soos ek is en jy voel partykeer een goeie daad of die manier wat jy optree, niemand gaan dit agterkom nie of dit gaan nie 'n verskil maak nie, wil ek hê jy moet gou vir my kyk, wie staan saam met jou? Want sover lyk dit vir my dat elke persoon wat hier is, sê ek soek dieselfde as jy. 'n Gemeenskap waar ons uitkyk vir mekaar, dat as ek hoor jy's besig om jou gat te sien, ek en 'n paar manne kan inklim en jou help. As ek hoor jy trek hier die ossebaard deur hierdie maand nie, weet jy wat, ons is hierso. As ek hoor jy kort 'n skouer, hier's 'n paar manne wat breë skouers het om op te huil. Want dis wat ons doen. Die derde rede is net omdat ek 'n selfie neem. Ek wil 'n foto share op social media, op my Mixit en my Twitters en nee, lag jy. Meeste van julle het julle vrouens ontmoet op Mixit daai tyd. Ja. Want ek wil vir Suid-Afrika wys. Dis hoe dit lyk as 'n klomp boere opstaan vir mekaar. Want weet jy hoe sprei ek jy hoop? Ons mag dalk hierso 200-300 mense wees. Maar as ek hierdie op my social media share, ek dink ek het 12 followers al op Facebook en nog 100 op Instagram en daai goeters. En jy het 1000 Facebook vriende, jy het 2000 en mispopular daar agter het al 5000 followers. So as ons hierdie ding begin deel, hierdie foto van hoe dit lyk by die MSM, jy weet wat noem ons dit, konferensie vandag. Beloof ek jou, teen 3:00 vanmiddag, deur die hoeveelheid mense wat hierdie ding op sosiale media gesê het ek en jy al ten minste 300,000 mense geïnspireer met 'n boodskap van hoop, want dis hoe dit lyk as die Makadamia boere van Suid-Afrika saam staan. Gaan ons die foto neem? Ek los jou met hierdie gedagte. Die eerste een is, jy hoef nie van my te hou nie, jy hoef nie eens my musiek te luister nie, ek hou self nie van my musiek party daar nie. Een ding wat jy nooit mag vergeet nie. Elke persoon wat jy vandag gaan teekom, elke persoon, of het jou man, jou vrou, jou kinders, jou kleinkinders, jou oupa, wie ook al dit is, elke persoon wat jy vandag gaan teekom, het een of ander vorm van grond wat besig is om hulle terug te hou. Een of ander vorm van stres of angs oor wat ook al wat hulle terughou. En dit is jou plig om jou hand uit te steek en hulle uit daai graf uithaal. Dames en here, gaan ek hier die wêreld kan verander? Wat het jy hardop sê? Mense gaan dink jy is ook mal. Baie dankie julle.
Janine van Praat die South African gaan vinnig met julle gesels, dankie.
Baie dankie en dankie dat ons hier saam met julle kan wees vandag. So ek sal maar verder aangaan in Engels. So my name is Janine van Straat and my role at Proudly SA is to look after our stakeholder relations as well as the legal portfolio, as well as localization strategies is part of my responsibility. So why, Proudly South African is the national Buy Local campaign. Why is there a need for a Buy Local campaign? Well, we were really established to address the triple challenge our country is facing. We all know what it is, but specifically unemployment. Our tagline is, be proudly South African, buy local to create jobs. And that's really why we exist. We're a not-for-profit company, and we have NEDLAC, an organization that really brings all the social partners together. We have them on our board, as well as an independent chairman. And together they guide us, and we work quite closely with industry, with government, with civil societies, with labor, etc., to all join the Buy Local movement. If I can just give you a snapshot of one of the industries that we are quite prevalent in, furniture. The industry has really significantly reduced in size, and we are of the view that it's because of imports. So if you look at how many people were employed 20 years ago, 50,000, that's direct jobs. Now there are 25,000 jobs in this industry. And similarly, we have that across the board with industry, other sectors, etc. And if you look at the furniture value chain, it's quite significant. So if you have a disruption in one part of the industry, you find that the whole industry suffers, and factories close, jobs are lost. And we all know in South Africa, one salary contributes to a household of maybe 8 people or 9 people. So if one job is lost, it's got a significant effect on livelihoods of people, etc. So a Buy Local campaign, Buy Local campaigns are all over the world. You'll also find them in the developed nations, and really it's not a standalone for South Africa. You know that Trump was quite insistent that America first, and that's the type of messaging we want to instill in all South Africans living here, to make sure that we support our own. Why is it important to localize? There is an array of reasons, and I know I'm speaking to the converted here today, but it's to retain and create jobs. You're looking at skills development, economic development, empowerment, improved living standards, infrastructure development, increase in the country's GDP, and then also a balance of trade is favorable, whereby we export more and import less, and that's really and that's proven what localization means for the country. Our key 4 focus areas are really to drive demand for locally made products. So we work with the public sector to make sure they buy local, so we have tools and platforms in place to make that happen. The private sector, and I think that's why we are here today, to ensure that the private sector also does what it can to buy local. And we've got tools and platforms in place. I'll share a little bit with you in a moment about that. And then also we appeal to the everyday consumer to say, hey, South Africa, you've got more money over the festive season, buy locally made presents, poultry, buy from these companies that are exhibiting here today. Because it's really keeping the money within the borders of the country. And then where we also stand, what we seek to do is to make it easy to access locally made products and services. And that's also why we're working with MSM to really promote local in this space. And so we work with organizations, so companies that work with us have to be vetted in accordance with 4 key criteria that will give them eligibility to utilize the Proudly SA logo. I'm sure it's a logo that you've seen. I hope so, otherwise we're not doing our jobs. I hope it's a logo that you recognize. And when you see that logo, you must know it stands for local content, for quality, safe environmental practices, fair labor practices, and that's what our organization stands for. And then in order to become a member, you pay a nominal membership fee based on your company's annual sales turnover. I'll be here if you want more information. You can always come to me afterwards, take my business card, and we can have a one-on-one or bilateral after this session or at another time. So if you think about Proudly South African, think about access to markets. That is what we're all about. So we've got some innovations in the e-commerce space. So we'd love to put MSM's platform on our list of stakeholders. We'd love to work with industry. We'd love to have you on board as member companies of ours so that we can really drive demand for the product. Make sure that more people interested in utilizing product choose macadamia nuts. Very, very important, so that we make sure that we keep the product moving and that the industry can flourish. That's for us important. various other elements. We're at exhibitions and at trade shows. We have lots of networking opportunities for our member companies. The list is really, really endless. We're also doing an initiative with the private sector to give localization commitment pledges. So we'll do one with MSM and then see how we can work together in order to promote this industry, and as we've done with furniture and poultry and sugar, etc., industries that are really facing challenges, and each one different in their own regard. So where we've done some wonderful work, I say wonderful because last year we had commitments from the private sector to spend 8 billion rand on local industry, which is phenomenal, and that was from about 22 commitments that we obtained. So we'd love to add macadamia nuts and the value chain, etc., onto that list of products that we support, making sure that all of our members in the FMCG space really take note and heed of what this industry is going through at the moment. I'm going to skip this slide because I've been given 5 minutes. So not too much time. Where we also have quite a lot of strength is through our consumer education drives that we do. We're in malls. You'll see us on billboard advertising, etc., etc. So please do follow us on our socials, on Facebook and Instagram, and the complete list to see what it is that we're doing, what we do for different industries, our members, and how we highlight product to really make it popular so that when people do go to the stores, they select the local equivalents. And look out for the Proudly SA logo. So lots of education is done in that regard. So I'd like to play the ad for you. I hope you've seen this on television. It really speaks to our consumer campaign about asking South Africa. In COVID, we launched an ad and we said it's now, we have to pause, it's half time. What are we going to do? Are we going to keep spend in the country? Are we going to support other jobs? Are we going to export our jobs? So we've done that education campaign, and now we're looking at the legacy elements. So all of our children that are staying behind here, what legacy is it that we're leaving? Are we choosing a Versace suit, or are we choosing one of our own? And that's the messaging behind Proudly South African. So we would love to engage with you afterwards, and you can take my business card and we can have another session, but let me play the ad for you.
There's a voice that is calling, loudly calling, day by day, the voice of the future.
When I started my business, all I wanted was to create jobs and a legacy for the next generation, because I see opportunity when others see impossibility.
It all started with a thought and then a seed in the garden, which grew into my very own farm that feeds the whole nation daily.
Cotton, silk, and a little bit of treasure, I create masterpieces that give South Africans an identity, comfort, and confidence, because when you look good, you feel good.
From the factory workers to the warehouse and then over the seas, I want to show the world what Proudly South African looks like. It all started with just some ink on paper and inspiration to bring people together. With my furniture, I now help create spaces that are beautiful, comfortable, and authentic to human light and connection.
I've always been driven by curiosity. It fueled my dreams to create automobiles that accelerate our nation into greater possibilities and the beauty of the unknown.
I was born into a rainbow nation. My life has been full of colors and mixed flavors. And when I started my bakery, I wanted to share the joy with the world and with South Africans in particular.
All I ever dreamt of was to be a bird and fly high. And now I have the wings to help others fulfill their dreams of flying high too.
But it can only be a dream until you make it a reality. All they need is your faith, your trust, your loyalty, your appreciation.
And most importantly,
your support.
Because supporting local businesses
helps create jobs
and secures our future.
South Africa, their future is in your hands. So what are you going to do about it? Be proudly South African. Buy local to create jobs.
As a be reminded, if you want to talk to Janine, she'll be around when we finish our presentations this morning. Kan ek vinnig sien hoeveel van die ou manne hier so diensplig gedoen met 'n opsteek van die hande? Ja, paar van ons was kadette. Ons het nie noodwendig diensplig dit tel nie net dan. Okay, alright. Ons het ook breinklere aangehad. But you'll enjoy the next speaker for those people. Our next speaker started his military career in 1966 at the Army Gymnasium. I was then -10, 'n glinstering in my pa se oë. 1969 he graduated with a B.Mil degree. His distinguished military career included service in the border war and participation in operations and hoor hierdie name so Savannah, Reindeer, Modular and others. Before serving at the Western Province Command, where he retired after 36 years of active service as Major General, he also commanded what was then called the Eastern Transvaal Command. So, die generaal ken ons omgewing. But then it gets better. In 2002, he joined Transvaal Landbouunie Suid-Afrika, TAL, of TLE, soos ons dit ken, and he served organized agriculture and farming community until he finally retired in 2002, which is in Pretoria, and he recently moved house. Arme generaal, sy rug lyk nog seer. So join me in welcoming Generaal Chris van Zyl, and let's hear what he has to say about participation in the agricultural community.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the welcome. Allow me, by way of introduction, to quote two predecessors of mine, the one being Winston Churchill, who publicly stated, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, and I'll leave it there. And the next was a corporal at the intelligence school in Kimberley, which I commanded for 6 years, when I overheard him talking to a bunch of new recruits, when he said, for the English-speaking people in this group, I should rather speak Afrikaans. So I will try my best between these two language groups to convey some information to you. Allow me to say that I don't want to present myself as a boffin and an expert in agriculture, and in particular then as far as macadamia production and marketing is concerned. The 36 years that I spent in the military, initially focusing led to 20 years in organized agriculture, which initially focused on rural security, but gradually I was also exposed to issues such as property rights, labor, water, and other relevant aspects impacting on agriculture. Ek kan nou nie help om te erken dat my ervaring en ondervinding in die weermag en in uniform eintlik die fundament gelê het wat toenemend die basis vir my manier van probleemoplossing geword het nie. Die blote feit dat gewapende konflik nie noodwendig bepaal word deur die gehalte van die geweerskuts of ander faktore nie. Dit word ook bepaal deur goed soos toeganklikheid tot ammunisie, die logistiek, rantsoene om aan die lewe te bly, mediese dienste wat gewondes en beseerdes moet afvoer. Benewens dit is daar 'n klomp ander goed wat ek dink ook van belang is. Tydsberekening. Daardie besondere gawe om jouself in die skoene van jou opponent in te dink. Die keuse van die slagveld en die toeganklikheid en beskikbaarheid van ondersteuningselemente speel almal 'n rol. Ek was gebore en getoe in die artillery, but unfortunately my career in the artillery ended abruptly. In 1975 I was out of the blue. I was operating then as an officer instructor at the military academy in Saldanha. Out of the blue I was transferred to a Wambo in 1975, in the midst of 1975. Ek onthou daardie eerste dag toe ek by die hoofkwartier op Ondangwa ingestap het, toe die hoofkwartier leeg. The only people in that headquarters was a second lieutenant in the operations room and a radio operator. Toe vra ek vir die luitenant, waar is die kommandant? Toe sê hy vir my, nee, hy mag my nie sê nie. Toe uit pure verveeldheid gaan staan ek daar voor die kaart, en die van die wat die noorde van Ovambo ken, sal weet dat die grens met Angola, wat aldus bekend staan as die kaplyn, is so 'n reguit lyn. En ek sien hier by Ruacana maak hy so 'n boggel. En ek sê, wat het by die boggel aangegaan? Toe sê hy weer vir my, ek kan jou nie sê nie. En dit was 'n paar minute later, toe bel my nuwe bevelvoerder my uit daai boggel, en hy sê, luister, ek stuur vir Cor van die kerk om jou te kom oplaai. Pak jou goed, ek wag vir jou. Nou moet ek ook sê, toe my vrou hoor ons gaan Oshikati toe vra sy, hoe lyk dit daar? Toe beduie ek vir haar, hoe lyk Rundu? Want dis die, ekskuus tog, Katima, want dis die vorige plek waar ek grensdiens gedoen het. En die van die wat die Oostkap Privie ken, sal weet, daar is groot bome, en 'n lieflike rivier, en die huise het sulke wye verandas met gasdraad, en ek teken daai prentjie vir haar. Toe ons nou by ons nuwe huis op Oshikati inkom, toe is dit een van 6 mobiele huise, wat op 1,5 erwe staan, op kaal vlakte, daar is nie eers 'n behoorlike pad nie, en daai eerste middag het die mense in Oshikati gehoor, hier is nuwe mense, en almal het so styf teen hierdie huis verbykom ry om te kyk hoe lyk ons. Ek het baie vinnig agtergekom in hierdie situasie, want die dag voordat ek aangemeld het vir diens, het my bevelvoerder met 2 panserkarre en 'n peloton infantry vir die eerste keer Angola betree, en the rest is history. Operasie Savannah het gevolg en 'n klomp ander name. Ek het nie geweet wat ek moet doen nie. The aim of my new appointment was not very clear to me. Generally, it was referred to as civic action. And in this regard, the Army used qualified teachers to help out in schools in rural areas. And a lot of people with agricultural qualifications from colleges and universities were deployed on agricultural projects in those areas. En dan was daar 'n klomp ouens wat rondgeloop het met onderwyskwalifikasies, en hulle het gehelp in die skole, en dit het bekend gestaan as burgersake. In my endeavors to find out more about this new job, a friend of mine was so kind, he was operating in the United States or somewhere overseas, and he obtained a US Army field training manual, psychological operations, and a new world opened to me. I discovered 11 troops who had volunteered to stay behind after their term of duty to orientate the newcomers in that area. But the commander of the headquarters unit abused them to start establishing gardens around the new headquarters. So I went to my commanding officer at the time and I said, this is a waste of human power. I would like to have those 11 troops. And he immediately allocated them to me. I also discovered that a colleague of mine of the same rank, albeit slightly older than I was, had a permanent force lieutenant as a driver. And this was absolutely stupid. I mean, I drove myself. So I went to the CO again and I said, this is a waste of manpower. Can I have that lieutenant? Which he immediately agreed to. And in this regard, what I used to call the failed Hussein, the dirty dozen, was established. And with those 12 men, and that US field training manual of psychological operations, we realized that in fact we had 3 primary objectives. Contributing to the building of morale amongst own forces, getting the support of the neutral population, and thirdly, to do as much damage as possible to the morale of the enemy. And it was in the latter that I flourished. Dit was lekker. Ons het alles gedoen wat nog nooit gedoen was nie. baie goed het in ons gesigte ontplof, maar baie goed het die kaarte lekker deur mekaar gekrap. I have no doubt that in some way your industry is also being confronted by an element that apparently disadvantages you to the extent that both sustainability and profitability are under siege. From my military and relatively limited organized agricultural experience, there are some questions that comes to mind. Eerste, dra u almal dieselfde uniform. Met ander woorde, speel u almal in dieselfde span. Is u eie magte. Die tweede ding, is dit moontlik net soos wat 12 individue met geen spesifieke kwalifikasies en waarvoor ons hulle aangewend het nie. Is dit moontlik dat u industrie met behulp van u eie vuil dosyn 'n bydrae kan maak met ten opsigte van die uitdagings en die bedreigings wat hier in die oë staar. En ten derde, en dis seker die belangrikste, het u daardie kollektiewe wil om suksesvol te wees? As jy op hierdie 3 vrae kan antwoord, dan sien ek geen rede hoekom u nie ook grondverskuivend positiewe verskille kan maak. Maar daardie besluit lê in u hande. Most likely the introduction of MSM is a golden opportunity to re-examine unity and purposefulness and to identify a thoughtful process for the future in the interest of all the industry stakeholders. From my military perspective, I see some similarities which are challenging your industry and which you are currently facing in the same way as we had to face the growing challenge of counterinsurgency combat, which gradually developed into a modern-day form of conventional warfare. Allow me to offer some guidelines of how we approached the challenging environment of combat, which may be useful to you. Kan u baie akkuraat u missie en u doelwitte formuleer om te weet waarheen u die industrie moet neem om u doelwitte te bereik. Bestudeer u die terrein waarop u opereer en waarop die veldslag gaan plaasvind. As u in ag neem dat logistiek, inflasie, statutêre beperkings, politieke faktore en tegnologie vooruitgang, as ook ander faktore u bedryf mag beïnvloed. Be sure to know which forces you can consider to be your comrades and your supporters in this regard. And this applies to industry organizations, trade organizations, and marketing pioneers, processors, consumers, and secondary industries. The whole catastrophe of available support lying out there. Then I think it's important to coordinate the battle. It is much more effective than individual small-scale skirmishes. So as nou terugkyk na die Angola oorlog, grensoorlog, dan sal enige ou wat daar was, sekere operasies uitlig en sê, dit het 'n verskil gemaak. Ek het vir u genoem, dat ek was daar die eerste keer toe ons Angola binne gegaan het. So deur my loopbaan was ek daar toe Kasinga vir die eerste keer met 'n valskermmag aangeval was, toe ek in die taktiese hoofkwartier gesit. En as ons nou kyk na die laaste reeks operasies daar by Kwetu Kanawal, toe het ek in die taktiese hoofkwartier by Roontoe gesit. En toe het die oorlog tot 'n einde gekom. Maar dit het lewensverlies, groot finansiële uitgawes en baie persoonlike opoffering gevolg. Ek dink as u buite die bestek van hierdie aanbieding kyk, dan sal u ook saamstem dat in die groter prentjie daar bepaalde kwessies is binne Suid-Afrika wat oorweging skenk. During my years at TAU, I became acutely aware of the power of collaboration between agricultural organizations. 'n Boer is 'n boer. En wat die een bedreig, bedreig die ander een. Of dit veiligheidsbedreiging is of dit finansiële bedreigings is. You should also look at agricultural businesses and individual farmers and how survival and growth of agriculture could be linked to this. The macadamia industry is a young industry, and collaboration now within this industry will assist the farmers, the processors, as well as other stakeholders to realize stability, prosperity, and profitability much, much faster than individual, uncoordinated attempts might achieve. Net soos wat ek daar terug in November 1975 gesien het, sien ek dat dieselfde 3 faktore, elemente, tans vir die industrie van belang is. Ten eerste, die moreel van eie magte. Diegene wat aan u kant is, of wat aan u kant behoort te wees. Dan, die ondersteuning van die neutrale bevolking. Ek wil amper sê, dit is die gemiddelde gebruikers. My vrou nou daar aan die kant van die neute proe, toe sê sy, dis heerlik. Veel mense proe die produk en sê, dis heerlik. Dit kom van ons eie bodem af. So die steun van die neutrale bevolking ter ondersteuning van die macadamia industrie is myns insiens baie belangrik. And then the one issue which I personally love, dis waarin ek my tande geslyp het, is the degradation of the enemy's morale. Besluit wie steun jou. Wat is sy vatbaarhede en kwesbaarhede? Vatbaarhede en kwesbaarhede. Vulnerabilities. En begin daaraan knaag. Net soos wat die geval met die veildosyn na Novambo was, glo ek dat MSM die geleentheid gebied moet word. En die benefit van die boot om met dieselfde tipe baanbrekerswerk vir die macadamia industrie te kom. It may make, or it did make a world of difference for us. Ons het van al daai goed af weggestap daarbo met die minste verliese en met die meeste suksesse. En dit is waarom ek dink dit ook vir u belangrik is. Allow me then to wish you success and prosperity, not only for this launch, but also in the bigger interest of the macadamia industry. Baie dankie, thank you very much.
Baie dankie generaal, ek het daarvan gehou toe hy sê, dit was lekker. Ek hoop oor 10 jaar, en kyk ons terug na vandag, en dan sê ons toe ons MSM begin het, en daai jare van daar tot daar was lekker geweest. People in 1996, a company by the name Kodak Cameras earned an annual revenue of $16 billion. Dis nie so lank terug nie, 1996. What's interesting, 20 years before that, one of their own employees gave them a report and he said, he produced the first handheld digital camera. So wat julle vandag op julle selfoon het is ook 'n digital camera. 1997 79, a report was handed to the directors of that company. They said by 2010, a complete shift to digital photography would occur. So wie van julle het almal vandag julle Kodak kamera saamgebring? Nie een nie, want die maatskappy het gevou. If you evolve slower than the world around you, you disappear. That's what happened to that company. That's part of the message that we're trying to get across today. So our next speaker represents a commercial bank who's not evolving slower than the world around it. In fact, Desiree Leselle's position with Nedbank requires him to design agricultural client value proposition and to recommend new advanced initiatives that effectively extract value. He's required to identify and establish new partnerships and to find unique banking solutions to challenges that faces Nedbank's clients. Desiree, please come and tell us a little bit more what you do.
Imagine this, a world before COVID. Businesses were trudging along, simply doing what they had done many years prior. And at the back of their minds, they knew there was a need to digitize. But where would they start? Some would take the leap, while others would simply sit back and watch. And if success followed, they would simply just copy it. And then boom, 2020 happened, and COVID arrived in South Africa. For the first time in history, South Africa went into a nationwide hard lockdown. We couldn't leave our homes. Businesses were panicked. Would they survive? When all of this had passed, would they still be alive? Enter the fastest and biggest overnight development and adoption of online shopping services and contactless payment solutions. We saw retailers scrambling to have that online presence that they had been talking and thinking about for years prior. Who really rode the wave and rode it well? The likes of Takealot and Superbalist, who were knee-deep in the e-commerce world before COVID happened. What was the biggest lesson out of all of this? Is that businesses can no longer sit back and wait for a better time. They can no longer wait for a macroeconomic environment impact before they make the changes that are required in their business. Creating an online and digital presence has become a hygiene factor in the minds of our customers. And with the growth that we are seeing in e-commerce and digital, it is set to become the #1 cause of growth in business in the next 10 years. Why? Because customers are now starting to realize that what they thought was impossible 2 years ago is now the heartbeat of our daily lives. The use of e-commerce platforms to search, buy, order, arrange delivery, anytime and from anywhere has now become a value proposition that is no longer something that can be ignored. Customers are demanding seamless and customized experiences that save them time and money. Experiences which include optimized searches, hassle-free delivery, secure payments. If businesses do not pivot, they will become irrelevant. As the saying goes, if you're not going to eat your lunch, your competitor will eat it for you. The time has come for businesses in South Africa to review their strategies and ensure that e-commerce and digital are the foundation of their holistic strategic direction. It is certainly the time for an augmentation of business strategy. This does not mean that businesses must go full blast and invest heavily in creating the best-in-market e-commerce platform. Instead, it requires businesses to be willing to do some deep learning and heavy testing. It means leveraging off existing platforms, reviewing previous solutions, what worked, what didn't, partnering with businesses that share similar digital aspirations but might have different skill sets, and most importantly, agonizing over and understanding what the client wants in a product, in a solution, in a buying experience. Without this client understanding of what our customers expect, any investments made into digital and e-commerce will be muted. Businesses need to do the heavy lifting now to ensure that when the continued growth of digital and e-commerce continues, that they are riding that wave. And if not, their competitors will ride it for them.
Thank you. It's very hard to speak just before lunch, but I'll try to be short, approximately 15 minutes. So I'll be taking you through the exciting part that I find in agriculture, more importantly, with relating to trading platforms. And how I'm gonna go through my presentation we're going to look at the role that platforms play in the agriculture sector. Then we're going to look at the difference between e-commerce and d-commerce. And post that, we're going to look at what are the next steps, what is the future like with platforms and technology within the agriculture space. So let me just track back a bit. So if you go back, you remember in the olden days, just before my time, or way before my time, trading was more a farmer. During harvest time, we wake up in early morning, harvest, get time to get all the produce. And in the local market, there will be what was called a market day, where farmers would come together, and that's how they will trade. And back then, trading was done through a bartering transaction. They will exchange goods for goods. Fast forward, there was the introduction of money. They moved to the same local market. They will trade through exchange of cash. Right? Fast forward, we move in now. We no longer find farmers coming together in a local market and doing trade hand to hand and exchanging goods or changing money hand to hand. That's why the introduction of trading platforms. Even better now, or what we're looking into, is those trading platforms would not even trade through normal cash that we use. They're likely to move to your cryptocurrency or Bitcoin payments. That's the next that we're looking into. So the introduction of trading platforms is an exciting time, an exciting feature into the agriculture space. So let's embrace it and walk into it. So we're going to look at the role that platforms play in the agriculture space. So if you look at the first part that I have there, I say it's binding services. So in a platform, you can log in. It will connect you to different stakeholders. Either you are a buyer or a seller. You guys are connected there, and you are able to exchange whatever that you're trading. So you don't longer have to meet at a certain location where you guys are communicating and trading. And through that process, it is a transformation, or it transforms the whole value chain of agriculture. And it leads to what we call enhancing the digital footprint. Now, like I started with my story, they will meet in a local market. Now, due to platforms, you can trade wherever you are. You can be in another province or in another country. It's enhancing that digital footprint. So you are able to reach a broader audience and a broader market. Moving further, what does trading platforms do? As they eliminate the middleman, they lead to cost savings. The middleman is a bit eliminated. You log in the platform, you do your trading. There's a bit of margin that you can save through using platforms. That's an enhancing role that the platforms do. More interestingly, the use of platform can give you the leverage to use data to make decisions, which data-driven decision has proven to be more risk-averse than any other decision that we take just blindly without using any data or historical performance. So this is a key role that platforms play and can play and will still continue to play in the agriculture sector. So moving forward, let's look at this part. We have what we call e-commerce, and we have what we call d-commerce. First time I went through this, I was like, isn't this the same thing? It can be argued to be the same thing, but how I see it, d-commerce is e-commerce on steroids. So with e-commerce, simply put, I've got another slide where I'm taking through a sample illustration of the two. With e-commerce, you sit down, get your laptop or your phone, log into a website, place an order, make a payment. There's a payment or delivery option. You select a supplier that delivers in your area. Boom, cool, done. But when we come to d-commerce, that part is enhanced. It's taken to another level. So with d-commerce, still a similar process. You buy, you sell, done. But with d-commerce, the process is more personalized. It's more focused. It gives you a customer journey, a farmer journey. It touches all the touching point. Still on that, let's just move to the next slide. I'll walk you through it. Let's look at the first part where we're talking about e-commerce. I said you are a farmer or you are a seller. You got produce listed. Cool, done. A buyer will access the website or the platform, buy, select the goods they want, and they pay. And most importantly, usually in an e-commerce process, the payment process will be you put in your card number, the OTP sent, boom, done. That's done. And you select, usually in that platform, there will be limited delivery options there. You select a delivery, then your goods get delivered. But now if we move to e-commerce, in the e-commerce space, many of you have experienced this. You'll be on a website or on your phone or any social media, boom, there will be a pop-up. And you'll be surprised, oh, this pop-up relates to something that I had a conversation about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or just recently. Pops up. That's the discovery stage. Through your behavior and the background of AI, they've managed to discover the conversations you have and the things you look into. And that's where the discovery phase comes in. You click on that link, it takes you to the research and product understanding. Once you click that link, it gives you a description what this product does, where is this product based, what is the best quality of that product, who are the best suppliers of that product. While in e-commerce, you would have had to search those things first yourself. But with e-commerce, that is already, by just clicking on that link, that's already giving you that. And on the same process of research, if you click the next, you'll be able to have a chatbot that you can ask questions. While you're reading the description and the research, you can type, oh, I want to understand this more. There will be an auto reply that you get. Post that, you can, if that platform allows, it gives you a single sign-on, there you have a profile. Then you can go ahead, select what you want, add to a chat, and pay using a smart payment method. Instead of now putting your card number, OTP, given fraud that has been happening, is a seamless payment option where you don't even have to use your card. That platform, once you punch in a security code, could be a company registration number or any other form of method that they use, it populates the banking details and you just need to authorize. Then it comes to the delivery section. It will pinpoint the location you're in. It will give you options of delivery guys in your area, and it will give you a review and a research of those guys, a rating or how other users have rated them. Unlike here, there will be 2 options listed there or 1 option listed for delivery. While with e-commerce is enhanced, tells you, before you decide, there's a research given, background given to you. Cool, delivery happens. And throughout the process, there's client support. There's still this chatbot that you can ask questions till the end of delivery. Fast forward, delivery happens. It comes this part, which is more enhanced. Post-delivery, you get questions to rate the service. You get a question to do a review of the service. And you'll get options to, maybe not options, but you'll get recommendations to say, hey, since when you bought this product, do you know other users buy this as well that complements the product? That's a part of e-commerce. Still e-commerce, but on steroid. This is where new platforms are moving, and as we've seen, this come up quite a lot. I think many of you might have experienced some of the features on this e-commerce. Moving forward, we're just looking into the future of agriculture with platforms. This is an exciting stage, and some of the things that we've been seeing on research, other guys doing abroad, is quite exciting. Let's look at, I'm just going to pick a few. Let's look at metaverse. Metaverse is more is a virtual reality. Take it as an example. Let's say you are a farmer. You're given an option to wear your visual reality 3D goggles, glasses. You put them on. Boom, you are in a farm. You are able to walk through the farm wearing those glasses. You are able to interact with other farmers. You are able to ask each other questions. You are able to share information. Then boom, you take them off. You're back to yourself. That information, that conversation you had through the metaverse, you are able to implement in your own farm. Fast forward, you put back the glasses, you'll be like, okay, cool. Let's see in the metaverse space, in the virtual reality space, how does trading happen? You are able to meet other suppliers within that space. You communicate, that's how we trade, that's how we create solutions, that's how we generate revenue, that's how we create margins within our trading. Boom, you take them off. You come back to reality. You use those learnings. But the metaverse space is research that in the next space is likely to be a space where actual trade happens. You are in a virtual reality, you are able to buy and sell and make money. But that money will remain within the virtual space. It's like you are in a digital mall, basically. Another exciting part would be your NFTs. That's where this is moving. NFTs is more where you buy a token, then through that token, it's given a value. You can trade that token at any time or whenever you need to sell. Imagine you have a token of certain crops, and you are the only one who have that token with that hash description, and you are able to sell that token at a certain amount or certain value. We're not yet here, but this is where the next level of platform in agriculture is going. We can take one again, smart contracts. In a smart contract world, smart contract is as normal as a contract but done digitally. But it uses the background of blockchain with distributed ledgers. What happens in it is, let's say you are a farmer, you deliver, and you receive payment on delivery. With smart contract, it's automated, where by the moment you deliver, that person clicks delivery, payment is released automatically to yourself. There's no 2 days of proof of payment to be sent. It's emailing me proof of payment. Over time, you're avoiding that with a smart contract. There's still research happening. Abroad, some of the guys are starting to use that smart contract space. So there's this exciting part that is coming. And there's an exciting part that as Nedbank, we get excited when we see companies that are starting to research around this space, when we start seeing farmers that are starting to ask us questions around this new space that we're going into. In short, that was what I had on space to discuss about the role of platforms and the evolution that has happened, to chat about e-commerce and e-commerce, and again to look at the future of agriculture with platforms. And in closing, I'd like to say this. Thank you, guys. It is time that we embrace change, especially technology. It is time that we transform the agriculture space. It's time that we evolve. And it's time that we work together as farmers, as different service providers, that we can leverage from the available technology, because it is happening and it is coming and it is here. Thank you.
Some of the stuff he explained sounds like a video game. Jy sit 'n ding op jou kop en dan loop jy ergens heen en dan is jy op 'n plaas waar jy kan verhandel. Now, how does it actually work? I mean, if you make that payment, how does it get from one place to the other? Our next speaker is David Scholdhammer. So David was the co-founder of a company called Aggregate One. He founded it in 2019, so this is letterlik landbouhek, as its chief operations officer. It's a software company that provides tech solutions to the fresh produce industry. Hoe skuif jy varsprodukte? After only 5 years, this company now has a global footprint over 6 continents, 15 countries, and over 130 ports where they deliver their services. It facilitates a network of 650 supply chain participants and it manages the handling, and this might be old statistics, of more than 2 million tons of fruit annually. So I don't even want to try and explain it. David, will you please come and tell the people how it works?
Thank you. So let me just start by saying I'm not a farmer. I'm not a farmer's son. I'm not a farmer's daughter. But Greg Whitaker, who is our CEO and founder, he is. He comes from a citrus farming background up in the Limpopo. And he often tells people that he started this business to get his dad to stop complaining. But the reality is he felt there was an imbalance between the risk the farmer takes and the return he gets. And that really is based on capital that goes in to plant trees in the citrus industry, pack houses, the operations, your labor, all of that. There was an imbalance in the return. So he started the business to really give visibility to producers, farmers, beyond the pack house and let them take control of their value chain. So I just want to quickly give an overview of Aggregate One, if you guys don't mind. So we're effectively focused primarily in the citrus and table grape industry. And we also have some clients in berries, avocados, pomes, stone fruit. But citrus and table grapes are both very mature industries within the South African landscape. And there's a lot of players in the exporting space, there's a lot of software in the exporting space, but not so much from a producer perspective. So we saw the opportunity to go farmer first and really provide farmers with solutions that allows them to participate better in the value chain. And some of the biggest problems that they had was inaccurate manual data sets. So we often say the fruit went into a black hole, and a couple of months later, a check came back, and the farmer didn't know if that was market related, what was happening, what happened to the fruits on the way to the market. So we decided to shine a light into that hole, get away from manual spreadsheets sent via Excel months later, and really, provide that visibility that the producers are looking for. So we started by understanding the flow of the product itself. This is all the way from the farm through the pack house. There are other stakeholders involved, exporters, it goes through cold storage, loads onto vessels, etc. And we understood the flow of the produce as well as the data that's gathered at each point. And we created a platform that integrates along the supply chain that allows you to give that visibility back to the farmer. And initially it was purely a visibility thing. It was about access to information, access to what's happening, both from a market perspective as well as your own fruit. And eventually it's evolved to be a lot more active. So it allows you to actually take control of some of those steps. And as was mentioned a few minutes ago, where you can save costs by actually doing certain activities yourself purely because the manual old way of doing it is inefficient. So what does the platform look like? It really is made up, you can see the stats there, various commodities. We've integrated with over 300 pack houses, 50 cold stores. There's shipping lines, there's port authorities, etc. that we've integrated with. But the biggest challenge, and that was a challenge, was really getting the different stakeholders that are directly involved in the fruit to buy in. You've got, traditional exporting companies that are very protective of their space. They feel like you're there to disintermediate them. And the conversations we've had to have is around it being best for everyone. The improved efficiency, the better visibility goes both ways. We would have farmers who would say, geez, this is great. I can see all of my product wherever it is on the way to the market. And then they'd realize the exporter can see what they've packed on their floor, and they're telling him it's on the truck to the cold store, but it hasn't been packed yet. And unfortunately, it goes both ways. But it does allow for a better conversation between the parties because you're both looking at the same information and that information is accurate. So how do you deliver this? Real-time tracking and data access, and I say real-time, You know, if you're talking about a shipping vessel, once or twice a day update is sufficient. Vessels don't move particularly fast. If you're talking about air freight, you're talking real time. And what that does is it gives you actionable insights. And I'll give you an example of that just now in terms of the FCM issue that South African citrus producers had with the European or EU authorities 2 years ago, and how the data sets that were sitting within the platform allowed the producers to understand their risks within seconds rather than days. We facilitate order management, and this is really an efficient way of getting all the demand side from the various buyers, whether it's an exporter, importer, retailer, it doesn't matter, standardized, automated into the system so that a producer can make decisions on who to pack for. And I'll show you an example because not all offers are equal, but we've worked out a way to make them equal. And then all of this data that you generate can be used to improve finance. You know, if you have a whole bunch of information from the order, we mentioned smart contracts and knowing when a payment is available, all of this stuff can push to a finance system for automation. We have a quality control app which effectively allows you to take photos on the floor, quickly just put in your production run or your bin information orchard, and eventually when that product gets to the other end and the container's unpacked, even though there's no direct link with that, there's an algorithm that can link that initial quality inspection all the way to the quality inspection that's done at the far end. And this is all about accessibility, access to information, and just pure visibility. And from there, our producers started saying, well, we want to do more. So we developed logistics and shipment workflow modules that allow users to actually go and execute tasks. You have a whole bunch of statutory functions that need to happen. So whether it's PPECB, e-phytos via Dalrod, all of this is integrated. So you don't have to log into 3 or 4 different systems. There's no more manual Excels being emailed around. It all happens in one place. You're booking with your freight forwarder. All of these things can happen. So here's a quick demo of what the platform looks like. So this is actually a real view of I think this is a grape producer and where all of his stock is in the world at that point. Filter on vessels, containers, orchards, whatever you need. So this really does give you actionable insights in terms of knowing how much stock is arriving in the market. If you look through the different areas, we're going to get to the insights now. And what the insights also do is they bring in market information. So let's say that you've got a vessel arriving and South Africa's got quite a lot of stock on that vessel, but Peru had, and I'm talking table grapes now as an example, had 2 vessels bunch and they're going to arrive in the same week. Effectively, the market's going to drop in that week. You'll have visibility to be able to see that. And that's what platforms do in terms of integrating external data sets with internal data sets and allow you to actually make informed decisions. So this is one of our probably nicest features, and I talked about the equalization of returns. And I know not everyone's going to be familiar with Incoterms, but basically it's who needs to pay to get the goods to the other end. So you may have, agreements where you are trading on a CIF, so you have to pay the sea freight, but then you've got other agreements where you only, issue responsible up to the cold store or even ex-pack house. So what this software does is it allows you to actually equalize to your farm gate return or your pack house return so that you can compare like for like. This is then quickly the shipment module, and this is effectively tasks. All of these things need to be executed in order to fulfill a trade. As soon as you're exporting, there's certain statutory requirements, PPECB submissions, it all can be done here. And I must say the likes of the PPECB, even Dalrod with their eCert system, they're very sophisticated if you look at them from a global perspective, but it just means that you have to log into multiple places. With a platform, you can pull it all back into one place and integrate with those systems via APIs. So it really does bring a lot of efficiency, and I think what I want to kind of show here is all of that data that was on that screen doesn't need to get recaptured. A pallet is initially built at a pack house or where it's produced, and it has a certain data and provenance set. And as it moves down the value chain, you can add information, and that information can be added by third-party platforms, third-party systems, or by users who need to take action. And once you build that data set up, nothing that exists on that unit ever needs to be recaptured. You can reuse it for customs clearance, for phytos, for import clearance on the other side. And that's really the benefit that platforms bring. So just quickly, the example that I gave around the FCM, we had 2 vessels arriving. It was 2022, I think it was around July. The EU changed the protocol on FCM, needed a more sophisticated or higher level of sterilization. Unfortunately, the date that they implemented it was an arrival date, and there were 2 vessels full of reefer cargo with citrus in them that was going to arrive that had not gone through the sterilization protocol. So users of a platform like this filtered on the 2 vessels within their dashboard of reports, immediately saw total quantity, total volume, breakdown, whatever information they needed to know what stock was at risk. And that was a 10-second exercise. Now, the other thing that you see here, which is quite interesting down the bottom, this is temperature data that comes from your temp tails, your geo-enabled temp tails. So those data sets from IoT devices, all these new kind of technologies can be brought into platforms, which can be very beneficial when you overlay that type of information with other logistics events and information. So I just want to give you a quick theoretical example of how platforms in an ecosystem can actually, boost efficiency. Now, all of these logos that you see here exist. A lot of them are already integrated with each other, but they're not fully integrated in this example. But a good example would be an MSM generated sales contract, which then needs to get executed. You would have NutLogger, for example, running in a processor. That data set is now the actual stock that can be matched against the sales contract. We can see order fulfillment. The next thing that needs to happen is a container needs to get loaded and moved to the port. So Steinbach, for example, as a forwarder, that would be integrated into the platform. You'd be able to see the booking. They might push that booking for trucking to Line Booker, which is a fantastic South African developed trucking B2B platform. And they would then push the same information to Maersk to be able to actually physically ship the containers. All of this data can be consolidated into a single platform. And in this example, I've used the shipment to the UK because we've recently completed a trial with a company called Rune, which is owned by British Telecoms. It's a digital clearing system. And we managed to push a data set based on what we picked up through the supply chain through to Rune, and it cleared customs in the UK without any manual intervention. So that means that the provenance of the data set that you're using, the ability to package it in the right way, you can flow it the whole way through the supply chain. And that's really what a digital trade is. And the reality of platforms is they allow you as a producer or any party in the value chain to actually play a role the whole way through the trade from start to finish. And that's where platforms as an ecosystem really do have a future. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was incredibly insightful. Nou weet julle hoe dit werk. Die dae van jy ruil jou hoender vir 'n paar mielies is verby, mense. Kyk hoe werk dit. So let's end off with our last speaker, the driver behind the vision, Kobus Kok. Julle ken vir Kobus. Hy baie van julle, dis hoekom julle sit vandag. Hy kom uit die Laagveldse landbou uit. Sy familie het al in 1970 die plaas by Peebles gekoop waar hulle geboer het. Sy pa Louis Kok was 'n pionier in die SA makadamia industrie. Hy's een van die dink ek co-founders van Samac ook gewees. So Kobus' career started in the National Defence Force. He attained the rank of captain at the age of 23. A lot of military guys here today. Notably, he was appointed as the security coordinator of the Kruger National Park, overseeing joint operations between the Defence Force, the police, sandparks, game rangers, and the anti-poaching units. In 1996 kry hy jou B.Mil graad by die Universiteit van Stellenbosch. Toe hy terugkom Laagveld toe, was hy ook deeltydse bevelvoerder van die Witrivier Kommando. Besides successfully farming macadamias, Kobus built and operated a processing facility. He has lived and breathed the best and the worst times the industry has seen, and he has conceptualized what we believe will be one of the most, if not the most, useful tool in the toolbox of the macadamia industry, the MSM platform. I personally believe any organization that is built on the wrong foundations will fail. So I've come to know Kobus well, and besides his unwavering faith in the Lord, his guiding light has been a sincere desire to contribute to the well-being of the industry, but even more to the well-being of the farming community. Kobus, kom vertel ons jou storie asseblief.
I'm very pleased with the turnout that I see here. Thank you very much for everyone that takes interest in this. We appreciate it dearly. And our corporal said different things to us. You know, my corporal said concerning language policy, right, this is the language policy. Today, we speak Afrikaans, and for the next 355 days, we will speak Afrikaans. And I'm glad that we used that opportunity, because today I speak English, and I believe for the rest of our business careers we will speak English. That's the way the world evolved, and I think we got used to it now. So, but I'm totally Afrikaans. I grew up in a town where there wasn't even an English medium school. So if there's a few R's and E's and tense mistakes, you know where it comes from. All right, but with a good turnout like this, I owe you two answers. And the first one is, where do you guys come from? Who are you? And lekker Afrikaans is nou wie julle ouens nou eintlik. Yeah, especially if we say that we believe this is a pivotal moment in reshaping the macadamia market and the way that we trade. And I think we can best explain that question by just looking at this short video clip.
Now, when the returns of coffee and tea farming for many central Kenya farmers failed to meet their expectations, some of them tried alternative cash crop farming to supplement their dwindling incomes. Now, one of the alternatives was macadamia farming, and it proved to be a great choice as the returns were good and most farmers were happy. Sadly, things changed post the COVID-19 pandemic, and the macadamia farmers are crying foul, as most are not breaking even, and some of the businesses that depended on the trade have shut down. Well, Martin Munene tells us more, even as government moves in to change the tide for the better to save the macadamia farmer before it's too late.
Along the Nyeri-Nairobi highway at Agachito in Nyeri, we find this shop. The writing on the walls are bold for all to see. It is a macadamia buying center, but on a closer look, one realizes it is not open. Gladys Kawera and her husband had been running the shop for close to 10 years until early this year when they shut down.
Yeah, and I think that tells the story. And what we see there is that there's a lot of concern in Kenya. One, we see that this dilemma has been televised. The second thing that we see is that that industry is crying out to government. And we see a lot of involvement in trying to correct that. And in our own context, you know, if you look at that clip, I think we'll put it on Facebook, but when they talk to the farmers, about everyone at the end of the talk said, there must be something fundamentally wrong. You see there that the price has dropped from 200 shillings to 30 shillings, which is less than 4 rand a kilo. But they also see at what these products sell overseas. and they say there's something fundamentally wrong. So MSM is a group of farmers and business people who agree with that say there's something fundamentally wrong and something needs to be done about this. And we don't just want to complain, we want to be part of the solution, so we developed this trading platform, and it has been designed to address the deficiencies that we identified head on. The second question, if we answered, who are you, is where are you going? And the answer there is we're going nowhere. Our commitment is unwavering, and we will relentlessly pursue solutions until we satisfy ourselves that every person and every stakeholder in this industry benefit from it. And we will talk about it a little bit more, but I think everyone here is now curious about the product that we've developed, the service that we're offering, and we need to unveil this platform, and I thought it suitable that Nikki, would you please come up? It's Nicola Machant. She is a representative of Weldev, a Swiss company, and she's got the mandate to develop products like ours in South Africa. And she just will tell you a little bit more about this project, our collaboration, and the journey that we've been on to build this thing in a record time.
Good afternoon, everyone. First and foremost, on behalf of our CEO, Philip Wallstein, it is an honor to be here today. To walk this journey with MSM, it was an interesting project, interesting need that we saw would fill a big gap in the agricultural industry in South Africa. Over the past several months, we've been honored to walk the journey with MSM on developing an amazing platform, which we all believe will be a great benefit to the market. The project has been intriguing and yet fulfilling for our developers and team members. They've enjoyed each and every step of the collaboration, resulting in a platform that we believe you all can take pride in. Lastly, in closing, to Jacobus and the MSM team, we look forward to unfolding the chapters of our future shared journey. Thank you.
In the market for macadamias, struggling to set the right price, tired of navigating market uncertainty? Do you long for greater stability and transparency within the industry? Welcome to the Macadamia Sales Marketing Trading Platform. MSM's trading platform verifies all buyers and sellers, minimizing trading risks. Sellers undergo meticulous vetting, providing verified documentation of adherence to food safety and quality standards. Buyers are vetted by international auditor firms, ensuring credibility. Every user must provide verified trade references. This ensures minimum risk with maximum trust. Enter the realm of real-time data. MSM's trading platform provides actionable insights via live market statistics. Whether you're buying or selling macadamias, MSM's comprehensive data offers current trends. Gain insights into supply and demand dynamics. Analyze past transactions to inform future strategies. Delve into market pricing and availability intricacies, covering style, food safety, payment terms, harvest, and processing seasons. Equip yourself with the knowledge needed for informed decision-making and strategic planning. Step into the negotiation arena. MSM's trading platform empowers users to confidentially list needs and supply, fostering clarity about availability offerings and desired products. Find similar listings for negotiation or immediate acceptance. Alternatively, create your own listing for competitive bids and quick responses. Sellers gain insights into buyers' preferences, while buyers access verified product information. Experience a streamlined, trusted, transparent, and competitive market on MSM's platform, simplifying global trade dynamics. Experience fairness firsthand. All listings and data are anonymized, emphasizing product specifications. Legal terms ensure clarity, equality, and trust in transactions. Upon acceptance, contracts are automatically generated with a 72-hour window for finalization. MSM retains referee samples for impartial resolution of quality or safety disputes. As a trader, you can rest assured of MSM's fairness and product integrity commitment. It's time to embark on your trading journey. Confidence awaits. Connect with a vast network of traders. Stay informed every step of the way. Effectively navigates the trading landscape. Join the MSM trading platform today. Register now. 7 continents, 1 platform, unrestricted growth.
I think even our technical team gets a little bit in a hurry. Some parts of it being fast forwarded. But I think you got a very good idea of what we're offering, the detail that that's gone into the trading platform, and that we thought about everything. We know that there will be teething problems like with any platform, but at least we've got a start and we can develop from there, and we can add other technology onto this platform to enhance it. Without it, that won't be possible. All right, so the first thing that I want to do when looking at this platform is just to dispel some of the misconceptions about this platform. I think the first one is to say that macadamias are not a commodity. All right, sorry, there's some information missing there. But if we look at the definitions of a commodity, it is a substance or a product that can be traded, bought, or sold. So that's just from the Cambridge Dictionary. But if we look into further detail, it says also that in the original and simplified sense, commodities were things of value, of uniform quality, that were produced in large quantities by many different producers. The items from each different producers were considered equivalent. Now, in my experience of selling macadamias, people will always ask me what grade it is, if it's a premium, a commercial, a reject grade. They will always ask me for the style. They will always ask me for the specifications, the microbiological, the chemical specifications. They will require a whole spec sheet. And with what quality standards and food safety standards I comply. That is all standards. So in each respect of these definitions, macadamias is definitely a commodity. And if you compare it with flowers, the flower market in the Netherlands is now traded on a platform where you've got much more varieties, complexities, stem lengths, with leaves, without leaves. I mean, this is much simpler and a much better example of a commodity, even though it's a high-value commodity. So even though in the traditional sense of the word it might not have been a commodity, a platform like this will aid much towards standardization, with which we in any case already started. Like, for example, the World Macadamia Organization, we adopted some standard specifications, style specifications that we aim to work towards to standardize the product. A platform will aid much to this, and it is a bespoke application, so there's also provision for if there's extraordinary styles, for example, say a style 1 SYZ that confirms to have specific quality, you can list that under other and it could be found there. So none of the product will be excluded on this platform. Secondly, the other misconception is that we just another platform that approached the industry before. And I think you can see from this that this platform has been developed bespoke. It's not just a product that you sit out there at a certain price and hope somebody will see it and find it and buy it, but it's got a bidding process. It's very similar to processes within Safex. And there's nothing to compare with this. And thirdly, there's concerns about volume, which we think is unfounded. History has shown that platforms like ours thrive over time, and this platform has not been designed for a derivatives market. For a derivatives market, the liquidity of the platform in terms of the volume of transactions is very important, but platforms like ours started at a very low base of liquidity, as low as 1%, and we see that they grow exponentially. All right, and then the last thing that might lead to some confusion is what we are going to trade on it. Whether it's going to be nut in shell, kernel, combination of them. And we decided that we are going to focus on the kernel market. And the next slide will show you the premises that we used to develop the platform. And the premises was that we have a processing bottleneck. There's not enough capacity to process everything that we produce, and therefore we export to Asia in a raw product format or a primary format product. And at this stage, because we have insufficient processing capacity, we get a price setting in Asia. Because, and I call it price setting, is that we are not totally in control of that prices, because at a stage we have to accept what they offer, because we can't answer the question, what are we going to do, unless we accept those prices. What are we going to do with all that nut in shell in South Africa? So we see that price setting happens here. And the other bottleneck, we sell most of our products through the same channels, get their price from here. And what we want to change is that we once again get price from a much more freer marketplace that is based on a willing buyer, willing seller, demand and supply basis. And what we foresee is that the platform will provide that processors can list the product there at a higher price than with the traditional lines, and to the retailers that will still be a very good price compared to what they get through the normal supply chain. And if we can get our price from there, it's going to create upward pressure for prices everywhere, because now that's not the only norm for taking price, but what is concluded there. And it's going to create upward pressures through all the markets because of the position of the middlemen and the functions that platform fulfill. So our focus at this stage is definitely on the kernel market, and we won't go to the nut and shell market unless we've consulted vigorously with all the role players in the market. So I think with the misconceptions out of the way, we can now look at two questions. The first question is, why platform trade? And I don't think we need to go into this at length because Nedbank did a good job of explaining that as well as Aggregate One. But it provides for price stability, risk management, foster collaboration. It enhances accessibility. But the question that I want to focus on this morning is the one that we push more, and that is why not platform trade. So we had the privilege of sitting with all of or 90% of the processors with their CEOs, and to ask these questions and to run it past them. And the one question that is very interesting to answer is, what do you have to lose by following those answers, or by answering that question? And we still need to focus on those questions and get those answers. Today is just the start. This is just the launch of it, but I think it's going to be the start of a big process of walking this through and collaborating on this, debating on this. And that is the road that we want to take. We are aware that fragmentation in our industry poses a real threat. There's fragmentation along two lines. The one is that there are too many new processes coming online, small processes coming online, and when those processes need to operate in the dark, like we have to now with very little access to market information, and there's much uncertainty of what their position is, that they can make desperate decisions, and that desperate decisions can lead to horse trading, where people actually just say, we got it at that price, at that guy, and speculation sets in and it affects the whole market. And that can be detrimental, but there's a bigger threat in fragmentation, and that is the position where farmers started exporting nut and shell on a fragmented basis, and we actually deprive the factories from handling this product. And we start marginalizing our factories, and the factories is the one thing that we need to protect in our industry and take care of, because we see already that we are short of processing capacity, and we cannot afford to further disinvest with regards to processing capacity. And there are two known answers to combat this fragmentation. The one is consolidation. On consolidation, I think some benefit, or consolidation have some benefit, but only some benefit from that consolidation. So I want to read a definition of consolidation in agriculture so that we can look at it carefully. Consolidation in agriculture refers to the trend of fewer, larger farms dominating the industry. This occurs through mergers, acquisitions, and the expansion and integration of existing operations. Consolidation often leads to increased efficiency and economies of scale, but can also result in fewer small operations or family farms, reduced biodiversity, and concerns about market power and rural community viability. And I think if we look at our political landscape in South Africa, our socio-economic landscape, this can be very detrimental to our position as an industry in South Africa. I think it was one of the Ruperts that mentioned, I think it was Anton Rupert, he said, you can't breathe easy or sleep easy if you're the only one in the neighborhood that doesn't suffer. And I think especially if you are a cause of their suffering. And then the other rich person I want to mention is one of the Rockefellers. When he died, they asked the accountants, how much did Rockefeller left behind? And the accountant said, everything. And that just brings into perspective that in our pursuit of growth, of consolidation, of being the biggest and the best, we mustn't lose sight of that. Because we can find ourselves in a very difficult situation in a couple of years if we don't look at the impact that we've got on our socio-economic landscape and also on the influence that we leave behind. As they said, you can't take your money with you, but the influence that we leave is much more important. The other option to combat fragmentation is collaboration. And all benefit from this solution. So if we quickly read through that whole definition, collaboration in agriculture involves various stakeholders such as farmers, researchers, policymakers, and business working together to address challenges and improve practices. This fosters knowledge sharing, innovation, and sustainable solutions. Collaborative efforts can enhance productivity, efficiency, resilience to climate change, and market access, while promoting environmental stewardship and equitable development in rural communities. I think in the South African context, this is much more important. If you aspire to be the next mega farmer, where you consolidate a lot of farms into one and you mechanize it properly, it might look like a good idea, but it can lead to contraction, and in the long term, that the South Africa industry is marginalized and that we lose our position as world leaders. So when it comes to consolidation and the choice between consolidation and collaboration, we as MSM are going to continue to ask hard questions. We're going to ask those hard questions on behalf of all farmers, not just the big ones. We are going to ask that hard questions on behalf of all the processors, not just the big ones. We're going to ask those questions on account of the banks and this macadamia economy in which they operate. And we're going to ask those questions on behalf of the secondary industries and our service providers that are so hugely affected by how the macadamia is going to go forward. But we're not just going to ask questions and be part of the problem. In the meantime, we offered the solution, and we're going to implement the solution because we are GETMO. And GETMO is just the abbreviation for we are good enough to move on with this. And our solution is based on collaboration. So this solution, what we hope, and we've seen with other trust platforms that it does provide, is that transparency, build trust. I think trust in our industry is very important. There's so many levels of trust. Trust between farmers and processors, trust between processors, trust between processors and the buyer market, and transparency will contribute a lot to the trust that we so much needed. I think if we look at some of the reasons why demand for macadamias doesn't grow to that big extent is if you go to retailers that does not buy macadamias, and you ask them why, they say it's too expensive, it's unreliable, and it's volatile. And transparency would aid a lot to help them to see what the prices are, what the volumes are, what the trends are, and what the risk is to get involved. And that we can involve them much easier if we can create that transparency. And then the efficiency that platforms give will contribute a lot towards growth. And the one thing about platforms is that you get a lot of market intelligence that you can analyze. It's real-time intelligence. It's not intelligence on a post-mortem basis where you look at the past and you have to try to apply it to the present. It's real-time. And supply chain optimization maximizes this efficiency to do all of this. So with digitalization and the ability through AI, digital marketing, access to a platform, it's much easier to reach a global market. And the macadamia's global appeal can be enhanced a lot through that accessibility. And we can positively influence the prices for producers and for consumers alike, because it's typical to platforms that it lowers consumer prices substantially, which create demands, and it also bring that consumer price and farm gate prices closer together so that we can make it profitable again to process and to farm. So we think it's a very necessary intervention. So in going about this endeavor, we realized just on our journey so far that we are very dependent on the collective willpower of the industry to make something like this work. And in our country, with politics and with our government, we see where there is no political will, how it impacts on progression. In fact, it leads to deterioration. And I sincerely hope that as an industry, in terms of our willpower, that we will do better than what the government is doing at this stage with their political willpower. And MSM will pursue unity on the basis of collaboration rather than consolidation. And by doing that, we would endeavor to sell more of our South African product to more markets and not less. We trust that this whole presentation, the necessity to embrace change, the necessity to harness technology and everything it can bring to our industry will be grasped by everyone, and that we can take this message into the industry and critically look at it and determine what is most important to us. As we said, we are going to pursue solutions to the best of our ability, and we want that solutions to benefit all the stakeholders, except those who pursue their own agendas on the basis of their own agendas, which are contrary to that of the collective good. And that is just self-interest. So where self-interest collide with our aspirations, we are going to ask questions. And we are going to ask you on behalf of everybody that we mentioned. But our focus is to bring solutions, to go about it in a very positive way. And even though there might be initial resistance to everything that is new, and the necessary caution that everybody must apply, we think that we will contribute very positively to the industry, and we are very excited about the journey ahead, the challenges ahead, but also what we believe we would be able to unlock for the industry for the benefit of all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kobus. Guys, so to each one of you that attended today, to the exhibitors, vir die boere, vir julle almal baie, baie dankie.
Good day, I'm Kobus Kok, the MD of MSM. And yeah, we are very happy with our launch day and how things went. The attendance was very good. We're very happy with the quality of the people that were here, and we are very happy that we got the message out. We believe that we will be a marketing force in the industry that will contribute to more people buying the product, demand being stimulated, prices being better. People will feel the positive impact of MSM and in the way that we embrace technology and the advances in marketing in our modern day.